Yeah,
that show went to shit.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is like, to me, that first season is like super dark, uber grim, no magic, no nothing, and then suddenly it sort of gets into it. So, sup everybody, this is Karak with ACG, and I'm here with Abzi. Doing
Wait, are you live?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, doing the the best gaming podcast number. I gotta look. What are we at?
420, 412.
412.
412, right?
412, yeah. Thanks to Abzi for joining me. We've decided to do these occasionally. Well, first we're going to start doing them bi-weekly to see how that goes. And then we're going to sort of see how it works for the long term. We just really haven't decided. It's something that I've wanted to do for a while, especially because we miss a lot of the news in the starting week.
We do. We also skip a lot because, we go on tangents and shit.
Well, it's all my fault.
We talked about dreams for an hour. No, it was good. It was good. But we talked about dreams for an hour. So,
Yeah.
Something's getting skipped. Yeah.
So thanks for everybody showing up. Absolutely appreciate it. Thanks for spreading the word around that we're doing this. If you can, tweet it, super chats, all that kind of stuff. We're just going to actually jump in, discuss what we've been playing for a bit, talk about early week news. And we got a couple interesting bits here as well that I think will be fun. But what have you been playing?
I just recently started Phantom Liberty, like the Cyberpunk expansion. Dude, okay, I played it for about maybe 5-6 hours, 4 or 5 hours, okay? Honestly, dude, it's fucking cool. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just fucking cool. I enjoyed the first 4 hours. I think the new characters I got introduced to are pretty cool. I'm liking the dialogue. It has a lot of edge to it, which I like. You know, we talked about edge and lack of edge before. And the VA is pretty good, and I'm liking the writing a lot more than the original game. And it seems to be having it seems to have actual choice and consequence in this one versus like the original game. So yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. And some of the stuff kind of layered into the main game, like there's like these new things, activities that kind of got pushed into the main game. As for 2.0, like the main game, the combat's fun and stuff, and they fixed a lot of issues for sure. The new perk system is amazing, and the skill tree and everything, but it still has that like kind of there's a lot of, the map is just a lot of shit, you know what I mean? You just go, it's kind of like Far Cry, you just go and kill and go and kill, and like 90% of stuff is just combat, minus like the few really good side quests. But with this, I think it's because it's like a smaller setting in Phantom Liberty. It's very packed and tight. And I feel like there's more motivation for exploration and stuff, and talking to different NPCs and listening into stuff and reading lore. And the main story and the characters, they're just, I've been enjoying it a lot.
Shao Gould, $2 super chat. Are we still getting a Friday podcast? Of course. I'm not stopping Friday podcasts. I said it at the starting. I'll say it again. I've talked about it on Twitter. No way are we stopping that. This is simply just to do some extra stuff, especially because reviews don't hit this embargo time very often. Wednesday, 2 or 3 hours in the early morning Wednesday, I can work around that. And if I can't, that's on me. I would agree with everything you said. I also think there's a lot, not a lot, there is some Far Cry stuff in Cyberpunk that they hide by not putting icons down. For example, the consistent fucking fighting between gangs in that game. And I had forgotten.
It's very Far Cry. Something has to happen like every 20 seconds.
It's all the time. You come around a corner and it's like, and I was so confused, Abzi, because I had forgotten. So I thought it was a big deal, and I got into like 40 fights. I was like, fuck, man, things are going, this is all because of, and then it dawned on me a little later on. I'm like, oh no, none of this is because I have like, had something cool happen. It was the way the game was set up. They were smart to hide it, because I think Ubisoft gets dinged a lot of times because it's there too. They present
it's checklisty.
So have you done any of the driving stuff? People were just talking on our Discord about leaping off the cars and katana.
Yeah, that shit's pretty cool, man. That shit's pretty cool. I'm there's still some bugs. Like you just reminded me. I had a bug where if I pull out a certain weapon in a car, I just couldn't move my mouse to aim or do anything, and it wouldn't auto lock like it's supposed to. Also, for everyone playing, so I've isolated an issue where it causes game crashes, and I've seen multiple Reddit posts about this and comments. If you use a mod called, I think it's the airstrike mod on a melee weapon, which gives you, I think, higher crit chance if you strike from in the air or something like that, it crashes your game straight up, like 90% of the time. So just don't use that mod. Now I've isolated that issue to that. it might be even deeper than that. So it might be like my combination of perks or something interacting with that mod, but there's enough Reddit posts and comments that you should just like stay away from that mod for the time being.
So that was the thing that I think that Necro was confused on, because he was like,
and it's not a mod.
It's not a mod.
Yeah.
It's not a mod.
It's not a PC mod. Like it's an attachment you put on a weapon called Airstrike. Yeah. It's not like an actual mod to the game. Yeah.
So the people understand he's not talking, because this popped up and we always say it. They're like, dude, you just patched the game. What are you expecting this thing to magically work with your mods? And Absy wasn't doing that. That's actually in the game a mod. So they'll fix it. I think over time there'll be some adjustments. I think that people also need to remember this is it. They're done. Cyberpunk is over.
Kind of sucks.
It does suck. No.
It's finally at a place.
Yeah.
It really sucks because I feel like the foundation of the game, like it's finally at a spot where I think if they introduce more stories like that with like good choices and consequences and stuff, maybe do a continuation after the story. I think that would be a great move for them. But yeah, that sucks, man. That sucks. Because like fuck, it had a bounce effect on me, dude. Once like I'm in Phantom Liberty and I saw how cool shit was, I was like, it kind of had a effect on me where I was like, fuck, I kind of want to play more of this game. You know what I mean?
And I think when we look at Phantom Liberty, it does fix. So there's bear with me because people have heard it before, but there's role playing and role playing. ROLL, the mechanics, and ROLE, the player. This game fixes the ROLL. It fixes the mechanics. It's like, okay, there's a problem here. We'll fix that. There's a problem here. And so you get all this shit fixed. And then the moment you really dive in, which as somebody just mentioned, Pawnsmith, who's the creator, that guy's created D&D. This D&D game's been around for generations. You're sitting there going,
80s,
okay,
right? 80s, 90s?
Yeah. And you're like, all right, we get some role playing. And then the moment I did anything else, that part fell just the hell apart. The moment even when I was talking to the main character in the new game, I noticed that the setups for the DLC were specifically made for the changes in 2.0. They were those first couple battles, I'm sorry, they feel like nothing. Even if you remove 2.0, they do not feel like the battles in the other part of the game, because they were set up in a way to have you extend
and the new
2.0
activities with like utilization of the car system and the cop system, cop system in Dogtown, right? But I've had issues with not the cop system in general, but I feel like in the original game, I know they did modifications for the combat AI, right?
Yeah.
But in the original game, I can hide behind cover for a certain amount of time or like move around where they can't see me, and then they lose sight of me and don't know where I am. But for some reason in this update, I don't know if it was like that in the original game, but in this update, I feel like I can't. They always know where I am. If someone's seen me once and everyone's alerted, dude, I had to run miles until they stopped like chasing me.
Yeah,
it was very weird. Very odd.
I mean, they turned the AI. It felt easier because I had more skills. But
dude, it's so much easier now.
Right,
dude,
I think they turned the AI up though. Like, so
aggressive, way more aggressive.
Yeah, and the ability to follow you is up, but your ability to outskill them is beyond it. Yeah, it's ridiculous, man.
Dude, I'm hopping from one dude to another with fucking mantis blades.
Yeah,
with this new relic shit. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts, but it's also pretty awesome. I mean, it's cool that they fixed it. It's just sad they stated it's technical issue, not a result of sales or whatever, which I don't think anybody wondered, because despite the returns and all that, it sold well. But they stated, this is it. They've moved on to Unreal.
Do you not think they would do more if like this DLC sold really, really well and people asked for it a lot? Like, would they not change their mind?
I think that they move forward at a particular pace, and the pace is set regardless. And I'm sure prior to release, they had plans to look and see what they could do. And then the game got released, and they probably looked at the resources needed to patch it to 2.0 and to get one DLC out, including pay, Idris, whatever he got paid, and just stated that's where we're going. Because here's the thing, I feel CDPR's games look a particular way and perform a particular way because of their engine, including Cyberpunk's problems. And it feels like they've patched this up to work, but in a way like Red Dead 1, where you always hear those rumors that it's a disaster behind the scenes. Like, we hear that all the time. And by the way, I just saw some people saying that they've still got patches. Yeah, so I think they're just like, let's move to Unreal. where we have all the support we need. We're not going to Unity because those guys will, add some, they'll take all our money. So it's
Oh
like,
God,
yeah. So it's like, let's go to Unreal and we're going to get the support we need for an engine we don't have to control.
They are moving to this is a good point. Yeah, that's probably why they wouldn't continue on with it. I bet you, dude. I bet you behind the scenes it's just like stitched together with duct tape.
I bet you it is.
And shit, man. I bet it's nasty.
And here's another reason why. Look how many years it took us to get to 2.0. It took a long fucking time.
3 years.
3 years.
And you gotta put this in perspective. It's not like dude, it's the stuff. They got stuff to work, all right. Like it's not like a No Man's Sky type crazy situation.
It just is like where it should have been day one.
It's great that it's awesome that they went ahead and did that for sure. But it's not like we shouldn't praise like the idea of releasing an early access version of a game. And then so but still, like I'm glad they did. We just shouldn't encourage that to happen with games moving forward.
Shouldn't encourage it, not only for anybody, but a company like CDPR where they don't need our cash. They're flush with cash from all their different stuff. It's on them. It took
government grants.
It's like they failed utterly, whatever happens, but I'm still gonna say, regardless of all that, if somebody new comes into gaming without any headway towards CDPR, they can jump into Phantom Liberty and be like, wow, this is pretty fun. It's a good game now. It's a good game now.
For what it is as well. Like you gotta know what you're getting yourself into.
You absolutely do. This is not a FPS RPG. It's more like an FPS RPG light. Even though you can do all the skills, it doesn't have, other than the one mission, right, that we all know, that we always talk about, that has actual impact.
The Maelstrom.
Yeah. The rest of it is pretty linear, man. It's pretty like, were you guys even saying it took you only 10 hours to mainline the main story last night?
It's pretty short. Like you get to Act 2 after the prologue and it's pretty much just 4 quests to, but then the larger part of the game, I think, comes in the companion quests and those
absolutely
side quests,
the Explorer, which I admittedly I want to make sure people don't get all upset. That is still role playing in
my issue though, dude. Fuck, man. Here's the thing. I feel like it's very difficult to make a really good captivating story because for a good captivating story, I feel like you need urgency. But like this is like the most extreme of urgencies. You're gonna die, right?
Yeah.
So I always feel dissonance. Even in Phantom Liberty, where I'm like, fuck, I want to do these side things, but it just feels wrong. It feels like I need to rush. You know what I mean? It feels like I need to rush to keep myself alive. So this is something that RPGs always struggle with.
Yeah, you mean the time, like the initial, the feeling of you being a hero and the feeling of risk in the world and time and all that stuff.
Or being able to have a captivating story with urgency, but at the same time make it so that there's sandbox elements that you can dive into without feeling a disconnect.
Dude, you got to save the world, but here, bake some bread for 4 hours and level up your bread leveling. You're like, dude,
that's why I was
25.
kind of happy. At least in the beginning, Starfield's main story didn't have a sense of urgency, so I could I didn't feel bad for doing all the different factions and all that stuff.
It didn't at all. King, back a $5 super chat. Do you guys think starting a new character would be the best way to experience 2.0 Phantom Liberty? I would say I've heard some bugs. I did not have any bugs. I played with both a new and then finished also again with the initial character. I haven't had any issues, but I have heard it's more buggy if you use an old save.
If you use an old save. Plus, they brushed up some dialogue. They brushed up some stuff. There's still, oh my god, the Pan
I know what you're gonna say.
Cringe moment is still there, and I hate it so much. I was literally, fuck, man. You know when you feel like your veins are about to pop and your skin is kind of melting off your face, like that type of cringe. Romancing Pan Am. There's a lot of cringe that goes into it, but
it's funny because regardless of what we say about the writer for Witcher and all that stuff, there must have been something going on, because writing in Witcher is better than Cyberpunk by orders of magnitude, especially their DLC, which I always hear from you guys is like some of the best, not only just in size, but like as
Hearts
quality.
of Stone is just one of the best written.
It's just weird that you go into Cyberpunk, and by the way, I know that futuristic what do you call it, like body cyborg alterations possibly make it harder to write love stories or whatever. Maybe there's a little bit of a you know, almost like people are discombobulated in how they're going to try to figure out how to merge all these, which maybe with Witcher it's easier because it's one character and you're just like, this is Geralt. But I didn't think
And Cyberpunk has its highs and
Cyberpunk's
lows.
great. Yeah, it's got its highs and lows, but it's mostly mid.
Mostly mid. Except Final Liberty, I think is way better. But I think maybe it's you know, like you could be a good fantasy writer, and then when you get to like modern kind of speaking or futuristic, you know, American talking, you're probably just bad at it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably harder because it's Witcher, it's Geralt. You have, even if you say I'm not going to follow the books, you still read the books and you still can like make choices in your writing that might in some way overlap Geralt's choices and all that kind of stuff. You can still make your own. But with Cyberpunk, even though they took the RPG, the books for Cyberpunk aren't very good, first of all, the novels. And then the RPGs just have those snippets of where like they'll explain a character in character to explain a move. They'll be like, you know, Karak pushed the button on his eyes so he could see the grid himself. And you're like, all right, well, that's not the same thing as writing a novel. So yeah, the writing definitely in that one didn't work out.
I it's just especially the protagonist in the main game, especially just the I don't. He says stuff sometimes, you know, like you know, you'd see a dialogue option, and you press it, and you're like, man, why are you like this? Why are you the way that you are?
I would agree with that. I think the new one, he talks a little bit, but when he talks, or she, versus anybody else, including Johnny, they're just, even though I joke about like Keanu Reeves being the Paxil of voice actors, you know, like like everything is monotone. It's still better than. I don't want to diss on that voice actor because that's he's obviously good. I've seen him in other stuff, but the direction for him, at least him, I've only played a little bit of the female, but I've heard that the female isn't hugely better.
Yeah, I will say one thing though. Initially in the original game, I went with Corpo, and when you choose anything other than Street Kid, I feel like there's kind of some disconnect there with the dialogue and how he talks, because he always talks like a street kid.
Like a street kid.
Most of the dialogue, he talks like a street kid. Like
that's a good point.
So when I chose Street Kid this time around, it felt a little bit better because I didn't feel that disconnect as much.
Yeah, because you see that in Baldur's Gate 3, where they'll have the generic writing, and then they'll be like, you know, you're an elf or you're an orc. But with Cyberpunk, there's only the three. Yeah, you know, the three backgrounds,
and then like the skills stuff.
The default, what you're saying is the default defaulted in some weird way to Street Kid.
Yeah,
that makes total sense. I hadn't even realized. I'll have to rethink that, because that's actually completely true. And it makes sense that would happen in more games.
Like if I were to play Street Kid originally, and I would have never known, I would have been like, oh my God, there's so much reactivity to me being Street Kid, and everything feels like I'm a Street Kid, you know? But because I chose Corpo, what?
That's absolutely true. Sorry, my brain is translating what you just said. So what you're saying is if you went into the game the first time and nobody told you, and you were Street Kid, you may absolutely.
I would have been like, this is the best fucking RPG ever. Like this is like some of the it really has an impact on the game. Yeah, I would have been like, oh my God, no, I'm Street Kid. Like I have all these things.
Dude, I gotta put that down on my list of stuff to make sure. I mean, I check because I'm always playing around with characters, but I bet you that's possible. And I don't think I did Street Kid. I think I did the Corpo, because I just
did Corpo first time,
I think I did Corpo, but
yeah.
It is true. It is so true that is like, that is true. I have no other way of saying that. But now that I'm thinking of some of the choices I got, the generics did not read like Corpo. The generics read like Street Kid.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Plus you'd feel that because when you get like a street kid dialogue option, the tone of the voice doesn't really change that much. But when you're talking normally in dialogue and then you get a Corpo, he switches his voice.
I
so he goes like,
that
he's like talking like this, you know, like kind of Haywood, whatever. And then he goes like, oh, Corpo mode, you know, I'm a cool guy now. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I absolutely noticed that, where if you choose the thing, it doesn't just switch over. It's where it's like, he's a different person for a second. He's like, Corpo mode, engaged. And you're all, dude, seriously. It's just supposed to be the background. People are asking what our builds was. So,
Yeah.
I didn't really do a build in that way. I just pick what move or whatever looks good for me and feels good.
Yeah. That's how I started out, and then it turned into just a fucking crazy OP build, dude.
Mhm.
Like I just like go like, oh, this would work well with this. Oh, this would fucking feel good. Cause I'm going full melee, no hacks. Just I got Sandevistan in my head so I can slow down time, jumping around, mantis blades, katana. I can jump from one enemy to another and just fucking rip them to shreds and dash around in the air. It's fun as hell, but let me tell you, man, it's easy.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking ripping, and I'm playing on hard. I'm just ripping people apart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But it's fun. It's fun. It's a power fantasy. It started off not as easy. Yeah.
It is. The one thing I noticed when I was playing it is that I was so accustomed to Starfield's breadth and Baldur's Gates that I felt stymied pretty quick in the ability to travel. Like even when you go into the Deadlands or Wastelands or whatever in that game, it's like a little patch of desert where some shit dried up, and they're like, "This is a whole new area," and you're like, "No, it's fucking not. It's like 60 feet wide. It's not. It's longer than that." But I've been really enjoying my time with Starfield and Baldur's Gate and even No Man's Sky, the expansive. And when you go back to this, you got this amazing city. You can't go into almost anything, but you have this amazing city. But
yeah, but it's not like a sandbox game.
It's not, exactly.
Yeah.
It is. People need to know when they go into it to not think it's GTA. You're not going to be driving between two cities. You're not going to be driving between two anythings that's out of the city. It's mostly going to be contained in there and just running from the cops. Like it's a faster way to get from point A to point B, which brings up my other problem with this. No metro system was added yet. That's patched in. And these guys didn't put a metro in, which I don't...
Didn't someone mod it?
Yeah, mod it in. Yeah, so I wonder if there's a problem that they're not able to fix, and so they don't want to do metro, like there's a fast load issue or something like that. But I was upset because I think it sounds sort of weird. I love to be able to drive on my own, but I also love to be able to fast travel, and I also love sometimes just getting on like
getting into the thing.
Spider-Man getting on a subway, even though that goes too fast. But yeah.
Yeah, we saw that in the first trailer, I think in 2018, the second trailer, and we saw him in a train, kind of looking out the window. Yeah, that would have been cool, man. I like that. Like for example, in Skyrim, it had carriages and horses and stuff, and I'd always opt for that. I wouldn't fast travel since there's like an in-game system that allows you to get from point A to point B without walking, right?
Sort of building off of this, is that all we have to say about Cyberpunk? First of all, Cyberpunk 2.0.
Yeah, I think it's in a good state now. And that doesn't. They still lied. Everything they did was horrible. I think I don't agree with what they did, obviously, but I think it's a good state now if you want to play and have fun and stuff. But we should just not encourage this moving forward, because I can show you receipts, and I was watching old interviews and so there's some article there's an article that lists like everything promised and stuff. They're still not what they promised. They still definitely lied. But this doesn't change the fact that it's a fun game now. Yeah.
I lost patrons because I bitched about them lying. I was like, dude, I don't care if it's CD part. I don't give a shit about anybody. It's like, what did we get? Did they lie? And it was like, it wasn't just we're trying to do stuff. It wasn't just the shady PR. It was outright like, you can do this, blah, blah, blah. And they cut it all. But it's patched up. 2.0 can be played without Phantom Liberty, which is awesome. And we were talking a little bit about Ubisoft, and I'm going to spring this on you real quick. Well, before we go there, I do want to ask you, when you were jumping into this particular game, when you were jumping into 2.0, would you say that, were you impressed with the technology? Were you impressed with the game, its engine and all that still? Or are you numb to engine technology and stuff? Yeah, outside of ray tracing, just exploration and stuff. Does that burn off of you after a while?
I wasn't. I mean, I'm impressed by the city and the architecture. I'm impressed by the city itself, but the systems, no, not really. I mean, damn, it made me miss object permanence.
Oh yeah,
it made me miss object permanence a lot. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's not a sandbox where there's like a lot of systems and you can hone in and play with these different systems and do all these different things. They got cops to where they need to be, which is like, GTA 3 did that in like PlayStation 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love, like, the settings. True. Awesome. I like the game is fun, but I'm not that impressed by the engine. I mean, shit just works now, and it works well. And but yeah, it's all revolved around just basically combat and like being American stuff. So there's not a lot of like systems or different things that I was like, oh wow, shit. You know, you can't collect 100 sandwiches and put them in your apartment or something. But
isn't it weird that technology between the time that released originally and now, with, like, you know, we're starting to see more forest fires, or, you know, you're starting to see global warming, all this stuff. And when I see a Cyberpunk movie or game or TV show, I go like, oh, probably won't get to that. It probably won't be cool like that. You know, even though those are sort of to show you they're not cool. People are running around in the middle of the street with Uzis and shit. But at the same time, it's like we've passed that time frame. It's just like when I grew up, Star Trek was 1999 to 2020. And when I got to 1999, I was like, well, we fucked that up. we're not getting to the starships anytime soon. Does that ever bother you going into a game where
Well, what do you mean?
Well, like where you go into a game and you realize that its future is not possible, and they don't say it's an alternate future. It's almost like, well, like I said, Star Wars or Star Trek. People grew up with Star Trek, and they didn't think we wouldn't be there. So they were like, this is the future. And then you get there and you look back and you're like, this ain't the future, dude.
Yeah. My biggest disappointment is, so when I was, I think, like, when I was a kid, I watched Back to the Future 2. And literally, dude, I was counting down the days until 2015. All right. And I thought for some reason, it's December 31st, fucking 2014. I sleep, I wake up, boom, hoverboards are out.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed.
Yeah, no,
I was so disappointed. The hoverboards are out. But yeah, for Cyberpunk, I mean, yeah, like the original, like you see flashbacks, Keanu Reeves' character, and you see the original Cyberpunk by Mike Pondsmith was in 2013. So yeah, in 2013 we did not get to that. So
yeah, and you look at 2077 and you're like, are we going to have cool hover cars? Probably not. You know, somebody's going to pass a law to stop me from having a good time. Like somebody's going to be like, we can't have hover cars because you could possibly hurt somebody. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Just let me have my fucking hover car. Yeah, I just thought it was funny to look back at these.
Well, Neuralink is soon, so, you know.
True. Neuralink, maybe you just imagine having one. King also asked, $5 super chat, were either of you hyped for 2020's release of the game? And do you think it now lives up to those initial expectations? I think we've said
yes and no. Yes, for the part that I was hyped, because I was hyped since 2013. So 8 years or 7 years. No, 2012, I think, when they showed that first trailer. 8 years of hype. It wasn't me over expecting a lot of them. I just went by what they gave me, the information they gave me about like branching storylines and you know, just like a lot of player choice and stuff. And while they did hit that with that Maelstrom quest, they didn't hit it anywhere else, and they didn't fix that or change that. Now they didn't revamp that, so it still did not meet the expectations of what I had before, of it being like a choice based, you know, tight role playing game. No, or I in my head it was like an immersive sim role playing game. They did in one article say that it's gonna have like elements from RDR2, like detail and stuff like that, which they didn't. But no, my expectations back then, I would not say have been met, but my expectations now, which are I'm gonna play a fun action adventure RPG, that has been met. But no, back then, no, that was not.
I would say it didn't change mine either. You just have to go into this knowing
there is choice and consequence, which is cool. But yeah, not at that, you know,
not at that level, and not at the level of that one mission again, Maelstrom. Yeah, I don't know why I can't.
That was a fantastic quest. Yeah, that was like the template they should have just done every quest. Man, there's so many different dynamic choices, and they all work in together, and you know, there's a lot of different outcomes and lasting consequences for those decisions in that quest. Yeah.
Moving on from there, I wanted to ask, so I don't know if you saw this, but it was right before we went online, Far Cry 7, there were some more leaks, and these leaks have popped in and out. There's been like leaks of this is the place, it's all been either untrue or unsubstantiated. But the new one, dude, I don't know about you, but like I jump whenever I read something that really either excites me or makes me unexcited, I start to compare it to other games. I'm like, okay, why does this make me excited? Blah, blah, blah. I saw the Far Cry 7 rumors, and it made me unexcited as hell because it reminded me of 5's kidnappings. But listen to this. So the rumor is your family gets kidnapped, and you have 48 hours in-game, 24 hours real-time to save them. The only time the time doesn't pass, it's a clock, is when you go to your safe home. Or maybe it's 48, 24. 48 hours real time, 24 in game. So it's like 2 times for the game time. Yeah. So
fuck that, dude.
And it's non-linear, meaning you can go and save your family members in any speed or whatever. But I got to tell you, I get why people want change to Far Cry, but that is not
That's not what I would expect. No. They should change it into a more. I'm gonna say the fucking word again. It's annoying, but Far Cry. Okay, the reason why I liked Far Cry when Far Cry 2, or like when I heard about it and it coming out, the reason I was excited is approach combat the way you want. You know what I mean?
No, I get. Yeah,
stealth,
exactly.
The guns blazing and stuff. It was new at the time. It was exciting. And the direction they should take with Far Cry is more an immersive sim route. I'm sorry. They should just fucking capitalize on that. And I'm just sick of the same shit outposts.
I just don't want to be forced into like
that time limit is fucked.
That time limit is weird in an open world game in particular, where you're not like people mentioned Dead Rising, which admittedly Dead Rising, when it was new, I saw the timer, wasn't too bothered, and I played the game and I thought it was fun. I like State of Decay, where the original, before those pussies patched it, you could lose team members just by sleeping in real life and you come back, it was simulated. But this is continuation of a series, and I don't know why it just sort of, to me, it's the open-endedness. I didn't love Cuba. I thought 5 it's gotten better after patches, but I've always liked the open-endedness and the idea of like having a real time limit. Something about that is, as a person, not a reviewer, I'm like,
it's kind of a weird decision, wouldn't like? What that's a really weird decision. I wonder if you can save your family and then start doing like all the other stuff.
That's another thing. We haven't heard any rumors about how that. No, they're probably that's a I hadn't.
Like,
that's
are you going to waste
exactly
your time
what bothers me?
Right, if you're on a time limit.
Are you going to wait? To me, it's different than the Maybe they can do a deal. You know, Far Cry Primal was on its own. Far Cry Blood Dragon was on its own. So if Far Cry 7 turns out to be, even though it's called 7, if it's sort of just like Assassin's Creed Mirage kind of thing, where it's like we're doing something different, or in that way trying to return to the past, I guess I'm okay. I just don't like the idea of a timer in a first-person game that's in Far Cry. Like that's,
I've only ever seen it work
so
in
weird.
Dead Rising, right? Like that's like the only game.
Yeah, I'm not a big timer fan in any game.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, unless the timer just maybe makes it harder, like but you can still go. Yeah, dude. Remember the timer? I call it a timer, but in Far Cry 5, when they'd be like, "We're gonna kidnap you, boy," and you're just like,
whenever you hit like a point, and you're like, "Oh, it's kidnapping time,"
dude,
and then you hit another point, it's like, "All right,
you could be on the wing of an airplane, and those fuckers would shoot you with like a faith dart or whatever, bliss, right?" You'd be like, "Dunk!" And you'd fall to the ground, and they'd take you in anyway, and you're like, "Seriously, guys, there's no chance you got me." Yeah, and 6 did away from it.
It's very gamified. I think that's like one of Far Cry's biggest weaknesses. It's so gamified. Yeah, everything just happens like this. There's a checklist, and then this and that and this. There's no natural feel to it.
Like a clockwork.
Like Primal. That's the reason why I like that is because it's way more a way more natural feel to it.
No, I get you. There isn't really that clockwork feel of the step by step that other Far Cries have isn't even really there in Primal.
No, it was like a caveman simulator.
Yeah. It was just like go around and, dude, I've spent hours in that game just fighting crocodiles and taking out, bad guys, watching my camp get better, because it's stressful that you need to go and fight the other cavemen and take them out. But if you fight them off, you don't need to. So it's like I can just stand on the outskirts of my, couple camps, and whenever I hear an ambush, take them out, and you're okay. But then we started seeing 3 and 4 and 5 where it was just bad guys and spawns and so much stuff.
Even in 2, man, oh my god, the malaria, and then like fucking every 2 seconds a car would come and crash into you and start shooting you.
I have never disliked a mechanic more than I disliked malaria in Far Cry 5.
Oof.
It wasn't Far Cry 5 the other one where you could jack on your Jeep to repair it? Didn't 5 also have Jeep repairs? And you could have a damaged Jeep,
I think
and
so.
yeah, I can't. But
I don't
all I
know.
know
I don't
is
remember.
I remember one time swimming, and my character's like, and he's sick and shit, and I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
malaria doesn't attack you every 37 seconds. Like, what
Yeah.
is this is the worst. And hated. I know a lot of people love to as well.
No,
Like
I think 2 did some impressive things with its attention to detail, but I think it burnt me out very fast. That shit burns you out, man, when every 30 seconds or every 15 seconds.
Any mechanic that repeats, that requires you to like take a pill or give a shot should not be in a game unless that game is a simulator. Like, and even that, by the way, if I have tuberculosis in real life, I'm not taking a shot every 30 minutes. Like rabies only requires multiple weeks of shot in your gut, but it's a week. You get to go a week. Yeah. This shit's like, and then you swim a little bit. You swim a little bit. Yeah. It's just, thank you everybody for the super chats in the comments. I'll try to read them when I get a chance. We're just randomly yakking. Somebody says, sup, dudes, 48-hour timer is a lot of leeway, especially if it's stopped at a base. See, I don't think so. I don't think 48 hours is a lot of leeway at all, because it's going to be 47 in a second, and then it'll be 46, and then it's not a 48-hour timer. It's like it gets shorter and shorter. That's what a timer does, but it starts to build on the stress.
And in my head I'm thinking it's a main Ubisoft game, and for a main Ubisoft game they're large.
Yeah, so then you're stressed with getting it all like, in that 46, 45, 44.
Maybe it'll be a smaller side game, man. Maybe
it could be, and I would be fine for that. I would be fine if it was a little one. 2 had great immersion. Yeah, it didn't. But I like the jam gun mechanic. Oh, jam gun mechanic. That's what it was. Jammed guns was in Far Cry 2. They need to bring back weapon malfunctions. No, they don't, man. Dude, we shoot guns. Guns do malfunction. Certainly you see them occasionally in war, but in a game, I am sorry, it happens so rarely in real life. Having guns myself, drop them in mud. You even see videos where people are shooting them. Yes, you can definitely get them, but the moment you repair it, should just work. That's why I liked Red Dead 2. Remember Red Dead 2 just reduced damage?
Just clean your gun?
If you until you clean it. I think I don't want to malfunction, especially like an AK-47, which can fire underwater on another planet in ice.
Yeah, that's the most reliable gun in the world.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's just like it's like just a soup can that shoots out
Red
bullets.
Dead did the sickness right, and did the gun stuff right.
It did do a lot of sickness right. Hush Out Ghoul, $5 super chat. Far Cry 7 should be a single special force operator that wears all black with green night vision. Okay, I get the joke.
Yeah,
with a green night vision and a stealth yes,
and have to do stuff. Like ghost missions and shit. Oh,
yeah, I get the joke.
Back. Didn't they even announce they're making one?
A VR. Yeah, that died. I mean, I haven't heard.
Damn.
I haven't heard.
Fuck. Why? Just why?
Well, it's like
it's like a Ubisoft released like a smaller linear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what goes on, but it's obvious cost and and what they feel the return is. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still sitting in whatever, but then Skull and Bones is being Crossbones, Skull and Bones, whatever is being developed. I just don't know. You never know what a company's doing or why they're doing it. We all want Splinter Cell. But there might be something going on we're just not aware of. It could be that they don't want to hinge 3 massive titles: Assassin's Creed and Far Cry and Splinter Cell and I possibly think Beyond Good and Evil.
Like in their head, like, okay, we don't have new Prince of Persia's because Assassin's Creed is there. Yeah. Let's not have new Splinter Cells because Ghost Recon is there or something. Maybe in their head they're like, but man, I feel like we haven't had a small linear AAA stealth game, like just like a kind of just a stealth game, like not a open-ended one, not an open world one, not a Hitman, just a straight up.
I mean, they probably don't sell. They probably don't sell well.
Maybe we're just past that. Maybe we'll never get like another kind of Splinter Cell like that.
We may not. Hitman is the main one, and they've had issues. Every Hitman has had publishing issues. Every single one. Every single one has had finance issues. And they tried, remember when they did 1 episode each month or whatever, you got the episodic version, then you got it all in one. Now they're continuing to do all in one. But then in Hitman 3, it fixes Hitman 2 and brings it into the new engine. It's obvious that stealth games, they try, but there must be something in the amount of time somebody plays and the amount of money somebody spends. Maybe it's that it's a big audience, but they don't spend easily, or it's a small audience that just ravenously buys everything that is in that little genre. I don't know, but there's a reason why Splinter Cell isn't here, and it's certainly, if it was going to make a ton of money, they most likely would be figuring out a way to do it.
But instead, they're doing Skulls and Bones. Like
Skulls and Bones is covered by the grant that they got from the nation, and they have to have output. If they don't, they have to pay it all back.
Oh, is that why they're just fucking soldiering through it?
It's almost like if you gave me a loan, no matter what, I have to pay the loan back.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they can't do bankruptcy. So, well, even though that doesn't even affect everything. But yeah, so they got that money for, I can't remember what area, it might be Quebec itself, but there was like this grant. They got some of that money, and you have to return on it or pay it back. And they just haven't done so. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Fighting D-Dog, $2 super chat. A new Splinter Cells formally announced remake.
Oh, yeah. A remake, yeah.
Oh,
then they're remaking one of those.
I don't know. Yeah, which one though? Which number one? Maybe like going all the way back. Because here's the thing. That's another thing.
Yeah.
What if you remake 3? People will be like, "What the fuck? Why'd you jump in the middle? Why are you
Chaos
remaking?"
Theory, maybe. I don't know.
Which was the one that was on the
loved by everybody?
That's what I was gonna say. There's one that I
like the one on GameCube. I forgot which one that was. You start diving and your daughter's on a boat.
You know the one I liked? It was on Xbox and on Xbox 360. And the Xbox original version was the better of the two. And it also had co-op or something like that.
Is it the co-op one? Oh, yeah. That one was good, man.
Dude, it was
that one had the ending was good too.
Yep.
The ending was really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
Fighting D-Dog says no, it's a reboot. You said remake. Oh. So I get you. So no worries. So he says, sorry, it's a reboot. So if it's Michael Ironside in a reboot, I'm fine. If it's anybody else, I'm gonna be. But I like Michael Ironside as the voice, man. He's good.
Do you think Ubisoft would ruin it now? Do you think they're gonna make it an open world outpost game? I feel like they're just gonna make it an open world,
like in Africa or like Phantom Pain, where it's like in the Middle East. Yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not gonna be excited for that. You know, I'm not gonna be. If it was a remake, I would have been more excited. That's weird to say.
Strangely enough, I 100% agree. Either a new one. Or a remake. A new one or a remake. I would be more interested than a reboot, because I feel with the reboot, that also means they're looking at gaining new consumers and stuff, and not
they're looking at like changing the like what Splinter Cell is, maybe like reboot. Like
I don't want to see none of that shit.
Open world.
I want Michael Ironside's had health issues. He was in Justified and a couple other shows, and I think he's got diabetes, had some heart issues. He was in the original and then replaced. I do not care about the replacement part. I just wish they would get him back, because I think he is like, I don't need him to be he's the main voice actor for Sam Fisher and all the other ones other than the last one, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And they were given some shit about like, oh man, it's because we need him for mocap and shit. And it's like, we've already seen multiple games use a different person for mocap than the voice. Happens all the time. Happens in movies, games, everything. So you can do that. Yeah, so it was just one of those things where Michael Ironside to me is Sam Fisher. And by the way, I'm not against switching it. I'm just saying I really hope it's him, because I love it. I mean, he's like,
he did a good job with that.
Yeah, imagine like John coming back in Red Dead prequel or whatever, and it wasn't John. Like in Red Dead 2, if that hadn't have been John
or Dutch,
his voice,
Dutch has such a distinct voice.
Yeah, but I mean, imagine Roger Clark not being John. You'd just be like, oh, it doesn't
what's his
feel
name?
as good.
Yeah.
Was it
Arthur?
Arthur,
he was Arthur. Yeah. Yeah, he did a good job there too. Yeah,
Roger Clark. No, Roger Clark is John, right?
No, it's Arthur. Like,
am I spacing out? Who's the one who does John?
John, I don't know. John Marston.
Dude, why don't? Oh man, here we go. Let's look.
Rob Whitehouse.
Rob, of course. Yes. Sorry, because I was getting mixed up with the lead singer of Judas Priest. Anyway, okay, gotcha. All right, we're good. Moving on from there and the Far Cry shenanigans and shit like that. Starfield review bombing. So
Is that happening?
I guess so, but that's what I want to point out is that once the game's out and about, I can't call into question if it's a bomb or if it's not when we see these, let's say somebody does something and doesn't add Chinese. We see the review bombing pop up and you can sort of tell. But I mean, once the game's out, what do you do? Like, there's nothing you can do. It's like, that's the review. It's why user reviews don't matter to me, because you guys are my user reviews, but I wouldn't follow you to Steam to see your user review. I need more input from the person before I listen to a Steam review. I'm not going to listen to some random Joe Bob that I've never tracked before on a Steam review. So to me, the bombs don't matter other than impacting the company, which luckily the game's out.
The only time I listen to, or not listen to stream, the only time I'm not sure of anything, but the only time I'm kind of more inclined to like buy something is when it's just overwhelmingly positive, because that's
I would agree with that.
You know what I mean? But when it's mixed and mostly positive and shit like that, then you got to wonder why. And then you see so many different people, and then you'll see like a large difference of Metacritic reviews to the user reviews, and then it becomes so complicated. And I feel like also I just feel like games can just can be for some people, not others. They just I feel like I don't know if it's since. But lately, it's just either a game has to be good for everybody or for nobody. Like if I find a game bad, everyone should find it bad. Like it is bad. You know what I mean? But sometimes that's objectively true too. When a game is just terrible, you know what I mean? You can't argue that like Mass Effect Andromeda wasn't bad. I'm sorry. I'm being toxic, but
that game.
I'm kidding. If you liked it, you liked it, man.
I don't know if toxic would. I mean, to me, that game had actual quality issues that you could track and say the guy's holding the gun backwards. Like, that's not a woke kind of thing or something like that. That's just, it's fucked. Like, somebody screwed up. Whoever produced that wasn't paying attention, or their team wasn't. It's not always just one person. But like for me, review bombs. First of all, I don't care about review meta ever. It's never popped into my head in the universe to ever care, other than talking to you guys. So when I'm in chat and we're like, hey, this game is at 90%, I'm only talking about it because it's you guys. Never in the history of ever, and I mean this, I'll die if I'm wrong. Like, God could strike me down if there was a real God. But in my group of friends, I've never once said, dude, the meta's 85%. That is something fucking movie people say.
Thing.
It's an online, it's not even real. It's like that. No. If you're talking like that, it negates actual reviews anyway, because now you're saying ignore the context. We just care about this watery number that's floating on top of the shit debris. Like, that makes no fucking sense. So I don't care. I think it sucks for the developers, but all it does is breed discussion that whether it goes up or goes down, like you said, I think the best thing is if a game's overwhelmingly positive, I probably feel less nervous. But if it's meandering, it's up to me to find out why it's meandering, not some fucking nebulous score and not some jackass on Steam reviews. It's like, it's on me to really dive in to decide and I think in the end, it's on me even if a game is overwhelmingly positive. I mean, I'm the one spending the money. So
yeah, and it's funny you say that, like, you don't talk to your friends about meta, because my friends IRL who just play video games and like video games, and I have some friends that are new to video games and just enjoying their time a lot. It's kind of peaceful, man, because they're disconnected from the online. They get like Starfield or Final Fantasy or something, and you're like, oh, cool, this is a fun game, or Hogwarts. Oh, this is just a fun game, you know what I mean? And they don't talk about like the specific crazy like gamer fucking industry bullshit where people are arguing and no, you know what I mean? They're just like, oh, I'm just gonna chill and have fun and drink
my
some
friends
coffee
will actually be like, hey, dude, man, is Ghost of Tsushima good? And I'll be like, yeah, and they'll be like, okay, cool, because I'm thinking about getting a PlayStation. And what's weird
and they don't nitpick. It's
no,
fun when people
that's what I was going to say. Even in our Discord, I'll have somebody say, yeah, I've got both systems, so that means I don't have skin in the game, but I don't play my PlayStation. And you're like, dude, that's the exact, that is that false, like, connection to show that you know what, just say what you're going to say, move on. I don't need to hear your explanations. My friends give no explanations. They're just like, is that game good? Yeah. Can I borrow it? And you're like, well, you don't have a PlayStation. Can I borrow your PlayStation? You'd be like, yeah, sure. And you just like, I've let so many of my friends just borrow a console and be like, here you go. They never, in all of the history that I've had, all my friends, there was one friend who consistently argued, and not because of that, but because that showed that they were an argumentative person about a lot of things. They weren't invited as much because sometimes people just want to play a board game. They don't want to hear there's a better fucking board game. Yeah. They're like, dude. But in online, it's become a thing, and it's because every jackass has a voice, including myself. I'm a jackass. I get to have a voice. Every positive for me is a positive for everybody else out there, but some people misuse it, and you get these weird discussions that are uncomfortable, man. I
wonder what it is that I don't know if like people are just so deep into this world that they're just like, there's a lot of passion. I feel like a lot of people have a lot of passion for the games they like and games they don't like. I feel like, I don't know if is passion the right word? There's just so much aggression and passion and fuck, and I need this to be good for everybody needs to know this game is bad, and fuck, no one's like, you're all paid shills. And I wonder what it is, man. I don't know. Like, there's a huge deep connection. I don't know whether it's like awesome or not. You know what I mean? There's just like a super deep connection with everything.
Yeah, maybe it's because it's a fight they can fucking win. And in real life, it's difficult. So somebody was asking me, what did you do when there was no internet? And I was like, we had to argue and debate and ask our parents. And our parents had to do their best to tell us the right data. And then we would find out later if it was the wrong data, and we would move on from there. And you read books, man. And and if I had an argument with a friend, they were both from sides of data. I remember in particular discussing the positives of moving to CD from cartridge with a friend, because we were both nerds. And I was in there and we were talking about moving from cartridge and like instant load to CD and what that would mean. And this was Sega's CD timeframe. But we had a conversation that was actually informed by Next Generation magazine. We had the magazine and we were reading the specs and we were like, well, what do you think? There was a conversation. There wasn't a Twitter post where somebody was like, this game sucks. And that's it. You know, there was no data about it or just a lie about stuff. I think it's because it's easier to just post your shit out there and pretend you know what's up. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just uncomfortable. I mean, it's not, also it happens, you know, with normies with the iPhone versus Android type shit.
Oh,
too.
True.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's like a consumer issue as well, for sure. But I just don't know why someone would feel a sense of connection that deeply to like an entity, like a company that doesn't really give a fuck about you.
They don't at
to
all.
The point where you're fighting wars for them as well, right?
Or
like you're literally out there on the front lines.
I think it's also that thing where that's why like sports team fandom comes about and all this stuff where they start identifying with the sports team, or they start and you're all, dude, you're not a part of that sport. Like, I love the fact of a fan, nothing wrong at all. But the investment when you're like getting in brawls at a football game, dude, you need to check yourself out, because that's a mental illness. Like, we've now passed beyond anything else to you just being mentally ill. What is it? Hoodlums or
hooligans?
Hooligans. Hooligans. Okay, ruffians is just a good word, but I don't think it has to do with sports. Somebody did a super chat, and I'm sorry, we got talking. Northern Berserker. CA $7 super chat. Thank you very much. He says Starfield's great, but the NPCs talk over each other exclusively. How did they overlook that?
Oh, and the ships, dude, you know, when like you're taking off or something and all the companions have that same voice liner. They're all talking at the same time. Yeah, there's a lot of wackiness for sure.
There is, but this is not excusing it because it should have been fixed. When I get 3 friends together, we do talk over the top of each other, and it's almost like if you have voices in your head, I always joke about just listen to the loudest one. Whoever's screaming the loudest in your brain, listen to that person. When it's friends, I guess I'm pretty able to parse it. I'm like, I can usually parse what's being said by whom. What are we gonna say?
You know which game did it well, like talking over each other, was Metro Exodus.
Yeah,
a lot
Metro
of people
Exodus
talk over
did
each other,
a lot of stuff.
It sounded natural.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Starfield, it's because you walk in and then it's Bethesda, so they all need to chirp. Right? They're all like, sup? I hope you're having a good day. Do you like the ship? Blah, blah, blah. And then the little kids there
and
bitching
Sam's
about her
daughter,
dad.
Dude,
that's
I'm
exactly
fucking
what I just said.
fighting ships. Dude, her dad puts her in harm's way. What kind of dad is that?
I love it.
She's talking about books while I'm shooting ships, dude.
By the
you
way,
can die.
By the way, N+ game, one of them takes some leeway with that exact situation, which I think is awesome. Yeah. That's it. Crazy, that's all I'm saying.
I've been hearing a lot of crazy shit about
Bro, there's one I hit that I was like, what the hell is going on?
It's like
it was
very
cool.
Man.
Yeah, it was very cool. And it changes up some of the complaints, which I thought, I'm not saying they did it on purpose, because I don't know if they did, but there were a couple that changed up some of the complaints if you don't do the N+. So you do the N+ game and you're like, oh, this is different, which might be one of the complaints you had about the non-N+ game. But I don't know if the complaint would stop you from playing. It would just, typical complaint. Starfield's ending makes Mass Effect 3 look brilliant. No, it doesn't. I don't even know what that... Mass Effect 3's ending was one of the worst endings ever. Starfield's ending is quite literally a roguelike. There's nothing wrong with it. Mass Effect, I could spend hours describing why Mass Effect 3's ending absolutely neuters the prior two games as well. I'm sorry. I have an issue with Mass Effect 3.
Did they fix it like in the Legacy edition or whatever?
No. There's a mod called the Happy Endings mod as a joke, and it's where he took the Overlord DLC and he fixes the entire ending to 3. And by the way, when I say fixes, way better than the ending from the professionals. It is insanely good.
It's crazy because I loved everything building up. I loved 3. There was a lot of cool companion moments. I shed tears and shit. It was awesome. Like fucking some characters and you know what happens with those guys and like that certain character. But yeah, the ending, I don't even remember. There were 3 choices or 4.
Bro,
I could either do something.
This is hurting my soul because they told us we will not do. They said it out loud. It's like CDPR. We won't choose a 3 color. That is fucking literally what they chose. By the way, I wouldn't have sent them cupcakes and say go die because I guess somebody did, and that broke some people working for the company, which I think is sad as hell. I have an issue with that game, but whoever directed it, that's their problem. They're the ones who decide. Whoever decided the ending for Mass Effect 3. They're the one to be blamed, not the team. The team just builds the thing they're told. But
they're not the decision makers.
Yeah, they're not, and they don't get to like, dude. I don't know about you, but when my boss at my old job would say we're moving forward, there would be a time where maybe you could adjust stuff. But if you were smart, you could read between the lines and say, can I adjust this, or is it a we are moving the fuck forward, and you're coming with me, or you're not coming at all? And you're
it's a type of leader, right? Like some leaders have like a supportive style of management.
It's Picard versus Kirk, dude. Kirk's like, see ya, bitches. I'm already on the planet. And Picard's like, hey, everybody, let's sit down and talk. Different
Picard
styles.
is high LPC. Kirk is low LPC. So Kirk is more like task oriented.
That's why I liked Kirk. I got to admit, when Picard would be like, let us talk about the Prime Directive. I'm like, dude, if it was me, I'd already be on the planet shooting the aliens. Like, what are we waiting for? Let's go. But Mass Effect 3, did you beat it? So you beat Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3? You did them?
Yeah, in one sitting. It took me 100 hours.
Not in one sitting. You mean one?
No, sorry. One, like, I played them all straight. I didn't play any other game other than that.
Dude, because I was like, I did 24 hours of No Man's Sky and almost died. You did 100. Okay. So you played 1, 2, and 3 all in like one sitting. One
epic RPG, just an epic. Yeah.
Yeah. 1 I know is a little cranky in its movement compared to 2 and 3.
1 gameplay was the worst, but it's personally my favorite ending.
Same. Yeah.
It's my favorite ending.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that ending was just
That's what I was gonna
everything
say.
that happened, and the last 2 hours of the game was just.
Let me say it like this:
just so
number
good.
one, worst
Yeah.
gameplay possibly, but the best ending. Number two, middle.
Yeah.
Number three, best gameplay, worst ending.
2, I would say best side quests. Oh my god, 2 side quests were awesome.
Yeah. You mean the
Two side
NPCs
quests
side,
awesome.
like, yeah.
Yeah, like the companion stuff, and the DLC. Holy shit! Oh my god, that DLC with the brother and the numbers, the square root of. Oh my god, that broke me.
What are we
That was
talking about? What
incredible.
DLC was that?
Oh fuck, man! It's okay. So you go and there's this dude, and he hooked up. He hooked up his brother. I can't. I don't want to spoil. Dude, it's so good, man. It's so dark. It's the only time where the option to punch a dude in the face is the good option, and not the renegade option.
Okay, I do remember
God.
somebody mentioning that, so I actually know what you're talking about. I just don't remember the name of it. Anybody in chat? Mass Effect 2.
What was that DLC?
What's the
called?
DLC?
It's phenomenal, and there was a resolution to that DLC in Mass Effect 3. So you meet that, and then dude, that was probably Overlord. Yeah, it's one of the most just darkest gaming moments of just.
Oh, that's Overlord. That is Overlord. Yeah. What am I thinking? That's
yeah. Oh my god.
Did you say it's for 3 or 2? Is Overlord 2
it's
or 3?
for 2.
Oh,
The DLC is for 2, but in
Right.
3. I don't know because I played the Legacy edition, but in 3 or Legendary, but in 3 there's more to it.
It is one of my favorite DLCs. I know what you're talking about now.
Man.
Sorry.
Ooh.
For some reason I was thinking Overlord was 3, so my brain was trying to figure out why it sounded like 3, like I was confused on there.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 1's ending is probably the most poignant ending I've ever seen in a game. I'm not saying it's the best, but it fit the best for me. And then 2 was like pretty good gameplay, pretty good wrap up, even though I wasn't a huge fan of 2. It felt like it slid off at the end, and it was like, okay, we're setting up for 3, and you're just done. It's sort of like Halo 2 set up for 3. Yeah. Halo 2 was at the end of Mass Effect 3, I believe, or Mass Effect 2, I believe it's the one where you just basically jump to the other galaxy, like because you've been doing all the work. In Mass Effect 2. I think it's the one where you're doing all the mercenary work, you're doing all the jobs, and then like at the end you do one job or something. It just didn't. It's been a while since I played 1, 2, or 3 anymore because of the ending of 3, but it dived off pretty incredibly in 2, and then 3 was okay.
3 had the worst ending
until
no,
I don't even get it.
I think 3 had the best gameplay.
But, probably,
and also, man. No, it was 3 was a good game until the end. In my opinion, I think it had a lot of strong story moments.
Yeah,
I think there was a lot of. I will say there's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of kind of fetch side quests and shit. Like you could feel like it's becoming more like modernized or EA or whatever you want to call it. But it had some awesome story moments, man.
And all of them, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody because I guess somebody here is watching and they're a little nervous. I'm not going to spoil this, but I will say, I feel that of all the games I've ever played, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 have the best side characters ever. Yes. I mean, Mordin.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's his name?
Very distinct.
Grunt.
There's so many of
Rex.
them.
Yeah. And everybody has their favorite. And despite a couple where I'm like, man, that's interesting. You liked them because I didn't feel they were fleshed out or whatever. Overall, with Mass Effect, if somebody says they really like this character, and by the way, I liked Ashley, which everybody else hated. I loved her anti-alien stance. I like the Geth.
Yeah. Oh,
everything makes sense with those characters, where even if you hate them, that to me is exciting because I'm like, I hate this guy. He must be good at acting because I hate him and because he makes me want to
the character development,
beat him to death.
Dude. A lot of them have amazing character development.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Mordin is a great example.
So is Ashley, where you, by the time you get to the end, you're like, I bet you the people who didn't, like this character would end up liking this motivation as we move forward and finally wrap it up. Yeah, those were good. Garrick, Andromeda was the best. Get out of here with that. Tali, I thought Tali was okay. She was one of the ones I did have some. Tali, I had some issues with because I felt that somebody just wanted a different alien chick than the other alien chick. Does that make sense?
She really shined in 3, I think.
She shined in 3, but she didn't get a chance. Yeah. She was like the not whiny. What would the term be? She was like the She didn't have anything catchy.
Mysterious?
Yeah, she wasn't
Oh.
mysterious. I
She had
think
like
her
this
world
anime
was.
intro sequence in 2, I think, right?
Yeah, and then you get the right. Do you know who I did
Was it
like
Cher?
who didn't get any
Cool.
time? Kasumi, the voiced by Kelly, the Asian actress. Dude,
Okay.
I loved her. She was the ninja. She was dressed in the black. She had the veil, I
Okay.
believe. She also plays in KOTOR 2. She plays the Jedi or the Sith with the veil over her face. Loved that character, but didn't get any time. I think a lot of the side characters, the DLC characters, were sort of shit in those games because there was also that Marine, or not Marine, the mercenary.
Oh, I remember that guy. He was like a badass. Right?
Yeah, he was a badass, but he had like 3 lines. He was like, and you could do his DLC, but it was.
I don't remember much of him.
I don't
just
think
remember
anybody does.
He's a badass.
Yeah. And then there was also the not Geth, the other Davik or whatever. He was the alien race that wasn't the Geth. The other ones, the what are they called?
The OGs, right?
Yeah,
like
the OGs.
The old people.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Kasumi, Goto.
Damn, who was that
fantastical
really
says.
fucking cool guy with the glasses, man?
Really cool guy with glasses?
Yeah, and in 3 there's a sad thing, but he was dope. Who's the guy? Chat, who am I thinking of? He's really cool. He has glasses. He's alien. Was he the
Oh, he's alien.
original?
You're talking about not Davik, but the alien who talked like this.
He's a really cool guy.
Yeah,
Made me
dude.
sad.
Yeah, it makes you sad because he's ill. Somebody that guy's awesome. He only shows up in 1 though.
He only shows up in. Is he in 2? He's in. Either he's in.
No,
2
I think he's only in 3, isn't he?
I don't remember.
Man, it's been a while. Yeah. I like that guy though. Somebody will. So we're talking about the guy who talks.
Dude, it's fucking crazy how like I feel like I need to play a game more than once for it to really. Because 2019,
it's Thane.
Yeah, Thane.
Thane. Sorry, go ahead. 2019. What were you gonna say?
I played it in 2019, man. I shouldn't forget it this much. Like 100 hours I put into that game. Why am I feel like the only games I remember clearly are ones that I replayed over and over and over.
I think while that's
true, do you tend to forget plots and points?
Yeah,
and
I don't forget plots as much if I like them.
Like specific shit. Oh, okay.
But specific shit, yeah, and it also depends. This is gonna sound really weird. I purposely, on purpose, mentally have done as good as I can on removing Mass Effect from my memory. I want it gone.
Because of the ending?
Because of the ending.
That's like me in Game of Thrones.
I felt like I was so burned on the ending in 3. I was like, they somehow made me mad I spent any time on 1 and 2. Like, I was so shocked. So this was when I was younger. I was like, I just want it gone. And I purposely would just like, whenever it would pop up, I would just think of something else. Put it aside. And
which is a shame because a lot of the characters just had amazing resolutions.
Like, now I would probably, because the happy ending mod exists, I can probably ignore it, but I also liked 1 way more than 2 and 3. I felt 1 was a nice self-contained game, and 2 and 3 never were. They were like continuations of.
They're bigger.
Well, 1 just end, right? The ending that I love in 1 is like start end.
Yeah, there's like the ending is just we're onto a big journey. There's no cliffhangers or anything. Yeah, you're right.
Yep. And 2 and 3 were very consumer. Get you geared up for number 3 or get you geared up for the continuing battle. And number 1 was more like, oh shit, he lived, and the music started. Jack Wall's like that guitar, and he's singing. I was just like, oh, this is the greatest ending of a game. Loved that.
Yeah.
$10 Screwball BGN Super Chat. I like the companions in Dragon Age 2 a little bit more than those in Mass Effect 2. See, that's a game I can't remember. Dragon Age 2. I did not like Dragon Age 2 very much.
I saw like Dragon Age 2 because I really, really, really loved Dragon Age Origins, but then was super disappointed because of like what I saw out of Dragon Age 2 and the dialogue and a lot of the stuff. So I just never played that one. I played Inquisition. I never played Dragon Age 2.
It was not good. It was not as good as it's its own thing. But you know how like there's RPGs you play where they're not cheap, so therefore they're good. They're not B level, so therefore they're good. They're just a game that comes and goes and you play it. That was Dragon Age, which is weird because you should never think that of a Dragon Age game. But you, at the end of 2, you're just like, okay, that's it, and you just move on. So it was what it was. It was just there and then gone. Somebody says ME2 also had the weird dark energy plot that was scrapped. Yeah, a lot of stuff was scrapped in Mass Effect. It took them a long time to put it together. It was just one of those things. Macon Shin, $5 super chat. Did the NPCs in Starfield bug you guys? They move and act like animatronics, going back into Cyberpunk 2077, and everyone feels more alive. They're not NPCs. NPCs, not party members.
Companions bugged me out of everyone. Sometimes when I try to talk to them, they would fucking like do some weird shit. But the normal NPCs, I get the, you know, the thing where they like stare in the middle and they're like, they talk to you. Yeah, it's not as emotive as like I could definitely see that it's not as emotive and people aren't doing their own thing and yeah, for sure I see that. But the positives of Starfield are like, for me, it's like the sandbox stuff and like the scope of it is way larger. So I kind of forgive that a little bit. But yeah,
well,
you're right.
I mean, look at it this way. If you look at these games, to me at least, no, I don't compare them at all because it wouldn't make a lot of sense to when one game has a bunch of companions, open worlds on different planets. The other one is a contained city with these NPCs that just show up. Don't have any stasis. Like most of them just walk around, disappear behind.
They're very specific story.
Very specific story moments. Yeah. And by the way,
I like them for different reasons for sure.
If Cyberpunk looked better than Starfield, Baldur's Gate looks better than Cyberpunk. And to me, it feels really disingenuous to be like, oh, well, I have to go back until I find the best one, and that's the only one I can like. None of those bother me. When I played Starfield, I was like, these guys do this well, they do this, they feed into this fiction poorly or well, and move on. But I wasn't, and I even mentioned that in a review, I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and go, this is better or worse than Baldur's Gate, this is better or worse than Baldur's Gate, or now Cyberpunk, because they're not at all the same kind of game. To me, some people are going to want to do Starfield because it's space, and they don't care about Cyberpunk stuff. That future doesn't engage them. It's too dark for them. So it's disingenuous of me to pretend that they're all, by the way, I'm not saying him, I'm saying for me, to pretend that they all overlap and need to be compared. There's a many people who don't play them all.
Yeah, and I play those 3 games for completely different reasons. Baldur's Gate isn't a sandbox. Cyberpunk isn't a sandbox. Starfield is. Starfield isn't like a very strong, narrowly scoped. How do I want to phrase this? It's not like in Cyberpunk, like you got this not a theme park, but you're going through these beats in a linear fashion. You're doing these quests, and they have very, very strong scenes and very strong like atmosphere and scenes, and you got the music placed at the right time and stuff like that, and everything's super curated. Everything's so curated, and you're in the moment, right? But at the same time, there's no like sandbox. Oh, I just want to go be like a fish factory worker right now. Yeah, and just do that. Like in Starfield, I was a fish factory worker for 6 hours after I became the head of fucking a company for some reason. I just wanted to do that. But you know what I mean? They give me like different things. And Baldur's Gate is like a CRPG with that just turn-based CRPG, Larian, I can't compare those two. Where I can compare specific parts of them and be like, oh, this does this better, this does this worse. But I can't be like, oh, I like this better, straight up.
I can also say some things I certainly wouldn't like in other games. For example, I like Baldur's Gate's character interactions and stories and cutscenes. I would not want that in Cyberpunk because it would stop me from doing my moment to moment, where I just want to do the moment to moment quickly. But then Starfield has stuff I like that I don't like in No Man's Sky. Switching No Man's Sky to Starfield, there's stuff I like in No Man's Sky I don't like in Starfield.
Yeah.
But nothing bothers me. I would say the only time something is really held on to me is when I play a game and the fucking game has bad sound or music after I came off a game with good sound or music. My brain has a problem because like I'll be listening to something, I'll be firing the gun, it's just like and it sounds good and you're like, dude, this is great. And then you play that game where it's like a purchased Unity sound effect. It's like bang, bang, bang. And your brain is like, oh my God, this is terrible. I notice audio, I think, faster than I notice visuals. and it's probably because audio is piped into just 2. There's not the infinite radius of your your screen. There's not all the shit going on. It's just like here, and if there's a problem, I notice it almost instantly. I'm like,
it's funny you say that because I missed Cyberpunk made me miss the looting sounds from Starfield. Like
for sure,
like looting is my favorite thing in Bethesda games, and everything has a distinct sound. And you're like, but for me, I choose like I inspect everything and choose what to loot. And like a looting thing is like a
dude, that's
system
way different than the way I play.
Yeah, I delve into. But in Cyberpunk, you're running around, boom, 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 spamming, looting everything, and it's all it's different. Yeah. But I just love that gameplay loop.
Yeah, it's cool to see them all. Hopefully, you don't take that, because I wasn't trying to be impersonal to you or making shin. But yeah, for me, I just don't think that way for the most part. I don't think that way for almost any game. I think technically, man, that's how you get bound up. That's how you have that friend who comes back to the 25th reunion at high school who's still thinking they're a jock, who's still talking about dating the prom coming queen. And you're like, God. Dude, you're 25, you're 50 fucking years old, dude.
That's
that
like
ain't
that
you.
Episode from Friends. Yeah. Where Monica sees that old
the popular dude. It is. And the guy on the motorbike, Chip. It's Chip. His name is do not be the Chip of video games. Yes. Remember when he's like, do you remember when you worked at the theater? And he's like, work. I'm never leaving there. I get free tickets or whatever.
Baby. Free tickets.
It's so painful, man. Because it's so painful.
I have people who are stuck in the past.
Me too. And I think I get it. You get nostalgia, but there's a difference. There's the people who are still living there. Yeah. I want to visit there at times where like, man, those were good times, but I don't I know it's a different world. With games, it's the same way. I have people go, well, the only best game is like Final Fantasy VII. I'm like, fuck you, dude. I don't even want to talk to you. I don't even want to talk to you. We're done. Unless we're in a nostalgic discussion, don't bring it up. If we're all sitting here talking about the current best games, and somebody's like, well, before we move on, I just want to make sure people know. You're like,
actually,
yeah. It's where this nostalgia mixed with nerd glasses, and it just discolors everything, and it becomes painful. Screwball, BGN, $10, 10 BGN. What would that be? Bulgarian Gonad.
Bulgarian, probably.
NATO. Bulgarian Gonad NATO. Thank you for the Bulgarian Gonad NATO 10 super chat. 40% of my time in Starfield I spent building ships. Dude.
Yeah, a lot of people are super deep into that stuff.
So much better than me.
My friend spent literally 6 hours building a ship. I'm like, dude, damn. The most I've spent is like 2 hours on a ship.
I could spend 30 and it would look like a half an hour from one of those guys.
Yeah, I am very function over form. Yeah. So my thing is very convenient from the inside, very strong from the outside. Looks like shit. Yeah. But it's very good. Like when you're inside, you're like, oh, I got stairs straight up into my cockpit. I got everything I want around me. But do not look at it from the outside.
And mine is a giant penis with just cargo bays everywhere. It's so ugly. All I care about is cargo bays because that's the way I play. I collect every single item and then I sell every single item. So I'm resetting my items. So my cargo bays are maxed. But the ship looks... Dude, my ship's control was so bad. Yeah. Sorry. I swallowed my mint. I was playing this.
Mobility?
It was in like solid red forever. And it would be like...
goodness.
And I just didn't care.
You probably have very strong like auto turrets or something, right, to compensate.
Never put an auto turret on my ship, not once.
Dude, so
I don't believe in auto turrets. Nah, man, I gotta aim, and so I get this turd, this giant space turd flying around, and I would just run from people or get blown up. But I was like, who cares? Yeah, my ship was nasty, man, McNasty.
And it'd give you the warning. Bad. By the way, this ship is gonna be bad.
When I build a ship, it would have the yellows, and it would just be yellow. It'd be like, this is way overweight.
Well, at least it's not an error, right?
Oh, no, it wasn't any errors.
No errors, I'm good.
I remember when I found one of the cargoes, and I found out I had not realized I built this ship with a bunch of grills, and I deleted all the grills, which weighed 5 mass, and put the 25 or 40 mass cargo just everywhere. And when it takes off, I think I have a video of it, but it's like, it just looks like, it looks so obese.
Like,
it's just,
man, it's gonna fall.
Yeah, it's like, is it gonna make it? But you have something different. That's what's cool about Starfield is, and any game where that's enjoyable. I saw somebody build a ship that was, or a city that I posted in our Discord that was mind-blowing. They built a city in Starfield with like where pirates are landing all the time, where they've got deliveries going on, and I'm just like, what the shit?
Massive factories.
Nico is his name. Nico is this user's name.
Even though they didn't give us like floors and stuff, they found a way to jerry-rig floors and walls and stuff. It's kind of crazy. It's going to be even more crazy when mods and updates come. But it's just, I feel like one of the coolest feelings. The first time I built a whole ship, like I built the ship, I worked on it, and then just exiting that menu, and then in person just seeing it there, just so good over you, is just one of the
By the way, Abzy, can't be done in No Man's Sky, which is one of the positives of Starfield.
Yeah, of course, they're both different.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I was trying to bring it up, is I'm like, well, I can customize and build a ship, which I love No Man's Sky hanging out in the space stations and waiting for a good ship. But at some point, you can't create that. You have to buy it. You don't know what it's going to cost. There's something about building a ship, and being able to build a ship in Starfield is pretty fucking sweet. It's really enjoyable. And then also a city. My cities look like shit. I mean, it was like, I don't know about you. I had like a platform, a cargo bay. I always build the spaceship landing bay first because it costs so much. So it's like randomly out in the middle of nowhere, a big landing bay, and then a hab, nothing but one place for somebody to sleep, and then it's just lead processing. That's like,
dude, it's so weird. I'm bad at it. I'm usually like, the only time I'm really good at building cities and stuff is in like a city game, you know, or a roller coaster game, or Anno 1800. Like I'm good with that, but when it's a game that has,
in addition, you mean? Like when it's not the prime? Yeah,
I wasn't good at it in Fallout. I just do it for convenience.
Either was I. And Fallout, it looked the same. Like they just look like shit. Like whenever you come to if somebody was to visit my space in Fallout or in Starfield, they'd go, that's for sure his. Because it's just, whatever is working is planted randomly just down. It's like, cook, no design, no care. That's awesome.
The management side of it, though, I kind of excelled at. Like I have like kind of a pyramid scheme. You know what I mean? I got like there's like planets and stuff, and they like two of them deliver to one planet, and then this uses one of the cargo links to deliver to another one, and then this one has like the intersystem one. So and then they all funnel into like my main outpost. Yeah, but I never visit them
good
because right now I'm drowned in resources, and you know, I just have everything I need at this point.
Happens to me a lot when I get too many resources.
Reset the whole game, and then just start fresh.
Ruhan's $5 super chat. Oh, snaps. Finally caught you guys live. Missed you guys on YouTube. Thanks for being so awesome. Much love. Now take my monies. Thank you very much. We'll take it. And I'll buy the DLC for Starfield that is inevitably coming. I do wonder what that DLC... So you got Outer Worlds 2 coming.
Space.
You got Shattered... So I should say, ignoring Shattered Space, because I have a feeling that's like their story DLC. They're like, here's their first one. What I'm wondering about, when you look at Outer Worlds coming, I'm wondering if they're like, how they're going to differentiate themselves, because they're like right down the middle. It's like No Man's Sky on one side, Outer Worlds, which I liked a lot. I really liked Outer Worlds. And then you have Outer Worlds over here, and you've got Starfield in the center. I wonder what their DLC will be. Like, would it be building stuff? Is it just
one
improving?
Thing I would like... Oh, you mean in systems, or do you mean in like...
I mean in everything. What do you think they'll choose after Shattered Space?
The new faction, like House of Arun stuff. Some more House of Arun shit.
That would be cool. More quests, you mean? Like
more quests.
Yeah, okay.
Like a new faction. I would like to see obviously like better updates to like the outpost system, more ships, more POIs, more all of that stuff. But something specific. Just just more themed like storylines and space, dude. It's space, man. The universe, it's limitless. You can just make up it's a new lore, new everything. You can fill out the world. You can make it deeper and better, and just make like a Stargate thing, or a Star Trek themed thing, or like a full horror story thing, or there's a lot you can do.
I don't want to spoil this for you. But so I'm going to ask around this for Starfield. Have you gone to some special planets yet to have some very unique inhabitants? Don't say if you if you know what I'm talking about,
Unique inhabitant. I mean,
you would know. You would know.
Oh,
dude.
Well, do you mean like a resort or something?
Okay,
No.
maybe that's.
You mean like,
damn it! No, I don't want to say.
Or do you mean like part of a faction quest line?
No, not part of a faction. So
okay,
I've found a lot of Easter eggs in Starfield, tons, and but there's one that's not an Easter egg. It's a planet that is.
Oh, hey. Halo?
No,
or no,
no.
Oh, okay,
No, that's
not
just the name of one, not Reach. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But there are some amazing Easter eggs in that game that I also do believe hint at, you know, something they could play with in their DLC. There's this one particular thing which I can't talk about anymore, not just because of you, but because people listening, but that when it popped up in the game, I was like, damn, you know, that could be a storyline for a DLC very easily. There's also, again, I got to talk around it, but there's a connection to one of the N+ game versions that could tie into that planet as well. And you could have this.
I heard about this.
Overlap.
I think I heard about
just
what
don't
you're talking about.
Just don't say
I'm
anything.
not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I think is it, do you just find it? Like, I don't know. I haven't found that yet.
You just find one of these,
How do you just
don't even think there's a quest. I'm pretty sure it's in a planet system where there was a quest on another planet. And I found this and was like, what's happening right now? Like, this is what is going on. Yeah. You probably have.
Yeah, I've got everything spoiled for me and like a lot of stuff spoiled for me at that game, but
it's
still
difficult.
I don't know. It's one of those games where I just hear about stuff. It's like, oh, did you know there's this and that? And I get excited. Usually spoilers really bother me, but in a game like this where it's very big and there's so much stuff, for me it's like, oh my god, I want to go see that now. You know,
Didn't I spoiler? Weren't we in chat one time? Was it Horizon? There was a game. I'm really good at not spoiling spoilers, but I'm pretty sure we were in chat with a group of people, and we were talking about a game that you either were playing or were going to play, and I dropped something and tried to play it off as like
Horizon.
I think it might have been Horizon, where I said blah blah blah,
but whatever.
And you said
like something with traversal. Yeah, and I was like, oh,
yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
But then they showed it in the trailer anyway for the expansion.
They showed it in the trailer, but I remember going like, well, it's in the trailer, but I was sitting there going, man, you're screwed. You know, you saw it.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, it was in the trailer, but you had purposely not, like, you had sort of either not noticed that or stepped away from trailers, and I felt so bad.
I take spoilers very seriously.
As you can tell, I do actually listen to people, and I remember when I said that going like, oh fuck,
like, dude, like, I find like a game mechanic like if there's a mechanic you unlock later in the game, like let's say now you can fucking shit out bricks or something, or now you can like use a sword or something, you know, I just want to find that out on myself. I don't want to know. I don't want even skills, dude, even the length of a game, even chapters, how many chapters does this have, or like or
chapters can ruin the pace of a game if you know, right? If you're like, I'm in chapter 2 and it's only 3 long, you're like,
I hate like acts and chapters and stuff. I hate that so much. I just like everything to be one long continuous thing. Even like you know, when you get like a skill tree, like when you open up a skill tree, I don't like seeing what's at the end. I don't know why I stuttered. Yeah, what's where you're going to. Yeah, I just like going like, oh, you know what I mean, and just going with the flow.
I know this feels for sure. E1M1 says it's way more fun than Outer Worlds. Hardcore RPG fans sometimes forget there's more to these games than dialogue. Also, everybody's got multiple games. Doesn't mean you can't like both. Dustin, Cleburn, $2 super chat. Top stats to look for on a new TV. Refresh, hertz, etc. TVs are out there. Yeah, refresh is important. 1.4 HDMI is important. Oh my God. Variable refresh rate's important. Jesus. TV, that's going to take a while. There is a ton on TVs to worry about, but I would say refresh rate's important.
Maybe if it supports 2.1 now, right?
Sorry, that's what I meant. 2.1. I said 1.4. That's DisplayPort. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
I apologize. I'm glad you actually mentioned that, because somebody'd probably be like, what? Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah.
Nets, HDR, OLED.
Yeah, I mean I mean nits is super important, but it's like if you find out something's 2000 nits, but it can only do like 400 in a small box, that means it's a shit HDR display. So you're like, it's so, dude, HDR just has its own.
Maybe it's like a case by case where you just have to see reviews or see what the top.
Yeah, I think you could stick with like you could stick with a max brightness and refresh and go from there, because they're of the 4K ones that used to not be 4K, they're gone. That's the nice thing, is it used to be like 4K and then you'd look and it uses an upscaler, you know, there were all these cheats and there was that kind of stuff happened a lot. But now TVs are, for the most part, they've also dropped in price, man. It's pretty crazy what you can get a TV for. Like you can get a pretty good TV for a cheap price. The Chinese company, TCL, or Chinese Limited is what, the Chinese Limited or something like that. They
TCS?
do really.
Or TCL?
I think it's TCL TVs.
Okay.
I own one. I don't know why I don't know. I just haven't dived into TVs in a while. TCL TVs. They TCL. They do really good TVs for a super cheap price, and I've been blown away by some of the quality. Even in the testing units I got, they were really good. Testing units usually have some issue that in a big document that's like, when you switch to HDMI, make sure you're rubbing your elbow and fucking, you know, drop kicking the cat, because otherwise the TV won't boot. And I was actually really surprised how good they were. Moving on from there, did I ask the special question for Cyberpunk? Oh, yeah, we did talk about this. When you were a kid, what did you think about space travel in the future? That was the question. We talked about it during Cyberpunk as well.
Yeah,
Star Trek.
We did. Yeah.
Did you think there, when you were a kid, do you remember the day, or you probably don't remember the day, was there a day where the future died for you and you're like, we ain't getting into spaceships in my day and age?
I think my childhood was slowly, like, it's not like a fast bandage thing. It was just slowly
eroding.
Like, all my imaginative stuff
Yeah.
was just slowly being ripped away. I found out the Tooth Fairy doesn't exist. I found out Santa wasn't real. I found out I couldn't make a Doc Ock suit. I found out VR wasn't real.
Yeah,
like the Matrix isn't real. Everything was just like slowly, until I became who I am now. Yeah, everything was just ripped away. All my imagination, or where I thought the world was gonna be, and flying cars and all that shit, just slowly. Yeah.
And you and I, though you're a decade younger, you still lived through the stuff where it used to be where there was a little mystery. Then after a while, you're like, well, maybe
Google wasn't a thing.
Google wasn't much of a thing. And then after a while, you're like, oh, well, maybe there is no UFOs. And then after a while, you're like, yeah, anti-gravity is probably not going to be in my lifetime. Maybe it'll be in the future lifetime, but it won't be in mine. And then I start thinking to myself, man, maybe there's a longevity experiment so I can stick around another 10 years so that I can hit onto that moment when somebody says Star Trek Enterprise is real. And I'm like,
that's
yes!
one thing. That's one thing I'm holding on to is longevity being a thing before I die. So that's one thing I'm holding on to.
Yeah. I mean, and they're doing, you know, in crazy stuff with cancer treatments and all that shit. Yeah.
There's making in the longevity, like there's a Reddit for longevity, and there's a lot of strides in that department. Like, there's a lot of cool.
Here's the thing. This is what I always tell everybody. Longevity's fine, man, but you got to make sure you stick in an age where longevity is going to pay off, right? You don't want to be 90.
Your DNA or something. You don't want to.
Can you imagine all crippled up and you're like, I can't die. God. I can't die. This sucks. I would want to. Like, I think I probably only have, I don't know, 5, 10. Well, probably 10 years, because I do a lot of stuff. So I probably have 10 years before like a hip starts, you know, really bother me or whatever. I want to make sure I'm out of this shit, you know, or there's a longevity experiment before that, because the idea of
transferring your consciousness or something.
Yeah, the idea of going, transfer the consciousness would, here's the problem, dude.
It'd be weird, man. Would it be you or would it be a clone?
Right. That's, and if it's both of you, which I'm fine with, then I would know I was the other copy, which means I would try to kill the other copy, because that's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
So the moment I got a copy in front of me, I'd try to smash it, because I'd be like, what if that copy knows that I'm going to try to smash it? So it's going to try to smash me. And then if I talk nice to my copy... Are we
just a collection of memories and thoughts, or are we is there like a...
Is there a thing somewhere out? Yeah. No, these are... I just think that it sucks, because like little bits of your... I don't remember the Tooth Fairy dying, but I distinctly remember Santa Claus dying. And I'm a big Christmas fan, and I remember my parents let it go for a long time until I was probably, I don't know, 18. I wasn't 18, but...
Dude, I remember clearly how the Tooth Fairy... You know what happened?
You caught your mom delivering money?
In the morning. No, it was... No. So it was in the morning, and my cousin and I, for some reason, my cousin was at my house and we were going to school together. I think I was in elementary school at the time, and school got closed because of something. So we're like, oh shit, we got a day to spend at home, and we just got Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube, and we were like, holy shit, like it's Super Mario, dude, let's play Super Mario Sunshine. No, I was in middle school, but anyways, I went back home, and we just went upstairs, and my mom was just sitting there. I think on the way back home, on the drive back home, I was like, yeah, I lost the tooth fairy game. And so my cousin was like, the tooth fairy isn't real. I was like, what? He's like, your mom lied. I'm like, no, my mom's not a liar. What? My mom's a liar. And then I saw my mom at home and I confronted her and she lied. And I was like, oh shit. Oh man. It's not only that I'm disappointed in the tooth fairy, I'm disappointed in my mother.
Yeah, I'm not only disappointed there's no tooth fairy, I'm disappointed in you. That's what happened to mine is, I think I saw my parents, and then one time I realized if I lost a tooth on a day they didn't know, the tooth money didn't show up until they knew.
Yeah.
And I admit I was young and I lost a lot of teeth. Yeah, I did. Because remember, I'm the one who tied the wrong tooth to the door and shut it and pulled the wrong tooth out of my face on accident. Yeah. Trust me, man. Some weird shit happened to my. But I remember losing. Was
it a new tooth? Was it like
it was a good tooth, bro. It was an adult tooth. So listen to this. That's how I figured it out, because the tooth came out. I didn't tell my parents. I put it under the pillow. Nothing happened until later. I told my parents, and then money showed up, and I was like, all right. But yeah, I just tied it. It was this tooth and it was wiggling, and I tied it and it hurt. And I don't know, but when you're a kid, you sometimes push, you sort of embrace the tooth pain. I remember losing my teeth and being like, and I tied it around the other tooth, and I thought it was right. And I slammed the door with it tied around the towel rack.
Oh man.
And it fucking tore the towel rack off the wall, tore my tooth out. And I remember going like, why does that hurt so much? And then a day later when I told my mom, luckily they can put teeth back in for a long time, which is sort of surprising to me. But yeah, I got it replaced. Yeah. Liars.
I only did the door thing like once, I think, for one of my teeth.
Trying to pull a tooth out. Yeah, because it hurts just and you want it out, door. Right? You're like, it's like pulling a bandage, but you're like, I don't want to pull out with my hands. So yeah, I remember that. It hurts just hearing that. Sorry, we'll stop. I saw my grandparents putting stuff in my stocking. My grandparents weren't alive. I mean, they were, but they weren't like over at my place enough to do any of that. I remember seeing the From Santa, but I knew that was a lie when I was really young. I would get a Santa present.
I think I noticed when like every time Santa looks different and we'd see many different Santas on the
you
street,
mean a Santa showing up? Yes, for sure.
I was like, well, obviously it's not one guy. Like you could clearly see the difference in skin color and face shape, and you know.
I remember I found out one was a lie because my dad dressed up as Santa Claus and I freaked the fuck out and I started bawling. I was hiding in the closet of the bedroom, and I wouldn't come out for Christmas. And so finally my dad had to say, it's me, and he took off. And they have a video, old ancient video of me just bawling my head off because I was frightened. He looked like a demon. You know, it's like this random guy shows up in your house. That's the thing about all of our shit that we celebrate. It's either haunting, like a rabbit leaving eggs in your backyard. Like for Easter, after a while, you're like, dude, that's just freaky. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Or an old guy showing up, coming down the chimney into your house like an invader.
Like and breaking and entering.
Like, yeah.
Well, if you're in Texas, though,
if you're in Texas, what? No,
you can shoot him.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, true. I'm sure it's happened, right? I'm absolutely sure there's been multiple home invade.
You think so?
Absolutely, where somebody's been shot. It's not just Texas, man. People have guns everywhere.
No, of course.
I'm sure. Or a stabbing. You know, or poisoning of the cookies, the Christmas. I ate those Christmas cookies all the time too, and no one ever complained. So they must have known I knew. But yeah, those were good times, man. Until you find out that shit's not real, and you have that moment where you go back to school and you sort of realize everybody else believes it, or some of your friends still believe it, and you're like, damn, it'd be great.
Oh my god, I don't even remember that struggle of like, should I tell my friends or not?
Oh, you don't? I had a moral quandary about telling my friends.
Man. I was like, I need the truth prevail. I need to tell everybody.
Must come out about the Santa conspiracy.
Oh my god, I was a shithead. I was like, fuck, everybody should know that all their dreams are dreams.
Did you ever have the kid? We did have the kid in school who told everybody, but we were all old enough. He came in and he yelled in the class Santa's not real and stuff like that. And this is like 5th or 6th grade. Everybody already knew, but I think he just found out. But he thought he was going to be a smart ass and be like, Santa's not real. Luckily, everybody. Yeah. You're like, like when I don't pee the bed anymore, and you're all, none of us have for 10 years, dude. What were you gonna say?
Dude, I forgot something. Oh my God, that was sad. That was way sadder and more depressing than finding out the Tooth Fairy or anything of that. Dude, I was an avid, massive WWF, WWE fan.
Man.
SmackDown versus SmackDown, or all that shit. I just loved Steve Austin was my idol. I loved Stone Cold Steve Austin so much. And when him and the Undertaker would, dude, I thought all of that was real. And then I think I was grade 4 or something, and someone told me that it's all fake. And why do you think they stomp on the thing when they punch and all
when
that?
I
analyzed it, and I'm like, oh no. I was like, fuck, my entire reality.
It was a huge brain killer for me when I found that same thing. And I found out at a younger age, but I found out it's about the same time frame of like the Stone Cold. You know, it would have been older than that for me. It would have probably been like one generation prior. But I remember even seeing Stone Cold and being like, he looks so brawly, right? He looks like a whatever, and he's tough in real life anyway. But then you see a Brock Lesnar who fights in the UFC and then WWE. So I can see why some kids might see a Brock Lesnar go into UFC and fight and get bloodied and go, oh, well, you know, WWF is real. It must be because they're getting hurt. But the one thing about wrestling is they work harder than anybody else. So they do get hurt too. So it's like,
they're great actors as well.
Whenever you say it's not real, you got these guys with hip replacements going, it's real. Yeah. I mean, we may know who's going to win,
it's
but
a different
the athletic,
kind of real.
Yeah, this is a different kind.
Right. Yeah, it's still a performance. It's like a circus, right?
It's a really good explanation, because that's exactly where a circus is always perceived fear. Like, fire breather, cannon, getting shot out of the cannon, tiger tamer. It's always perceived fear. WWE is the same. It's that perceived fear of something, but they can still get eaten by the tiger. Like there is the possibility. Moving on from there. So, dude, I missed this on the last leak for the Xbox, but they had stated, and in the Xbox little tableau, the little PDFs that came out in the leak, one of them stated that Xbox is looking at a mixture of local hardware with cloud at the same time. I thought that was interesting because I don't know if you remember, that was original Xbox, the Xbox original, not the original Xbox, but after the 360. There was a plan to do it then too. And the internet wasn't fast enough, what have you, but like now
a mix between the two.
Taking on rendering, stuff like that.
Like Call of Duty has been doing that for a while. It streams from the cloud, like textures and graphics stuff.
Oh, I wasn't even aware of that. So it was just a short little note that I saw, and I was like, it's interesting that they want to do that. It'll be weird to sell you two versions, though. Well, not sell
like
you.
Like a local one and a cloud Xbox?
Yeah, you'll have to make it clear.
Would be cheaper, wouldn't it? Because it's just a device to stream.
No, see, it's mixing. It's what their plan is to do is to mix the render at the same time. So like your cloud would update and render.
Better performance?
Yeah.
Specs.
Do you know how hard that is, though, man? Like, dude, even one frame goes out of, and it's probably just an idea, and I think it probably is just an idea of what they want to do, but they're the ones with the big server farms, so it makes sense Microsoft's looking at it. But I just thought it was interesting to see where their plans are, because we got DLSS, FSR, frame gen, non-frame gen, you have all these things.
Why do consoles not go with NVIDIA?
Because of NVIDIA screwing over Microsoft. NVIDIA's terrible to work
even
with.
Sony doesn't go with
because
NVIDIA.
I think Sony's smart. Like, if you were to be punched by somebody, I would consider that person a puncher. Like, I would be like, all right, that person punches people. And
I just was unaware that they were fucking over.
They screwed over Microsoft so bad that technically one of the major reasons Microsoft's original Xbox was not continually more successful is because they would not sign off the license for cheaper versions down the line. NVIDIA did, and Microsoft basically wrote all that off. And there were people behind the scenes just being like, no big company will ever work with NVIDIA again. Now they are strangely enough in the Xbox cloud space where they're letting GeForce Now do the streaming.
GeForce,
But I think hardware-wise, they don't want to be anywhere near.
I just always assumed AMD was better at the mobile infrastructure.
They were for a while, the AMD. I think you and I see DLSS and like frame gen, and we get, it's not been around forever. We think, oh my God, if this is here, why is some company not doing it? But it's pretty new for frame gen. It's pretty new for both. So yeah, I if it's cheaper, maybe Microsoft would go. I think on that same PDF, it's stated to check with Navi for AMD, and then ARM equivalent. I think they said ARM, not NVIDIA, but that no, it's not the same. But I think they did talk about two techs on that same PDF, so it's possible that. But I think with NVIDIA, they just don't want to do it.
Like the X version or whatever would be completely local, and everything's you got the better performant one, and then maybe the S version would be like cheaper, but also use the cloud if you have good internet to get it to where the X is. But
dude, I love the idea of streaming, but not mixed streaming. That's got to be rough as hell.
Kind of weird, no?
Yeah, because I mean, dude, you could get rendering like a frame requires perfect timing. We see that with just NVIDIA's frame gen, where if for example, if you cap NVIDIA's frame rate and you turn frame gen on, the latency goes to shit because the GPU is sitting there. And it goes terrible. So you need to actually, weirdly enough, turn the graphics way high so that it can't reach the cap. And then it's delivering the frame as quickly, fake and real, as quickly as humanly possible. So when you play Cyberpunk, you want to crank it and
Plus,
then
I would assume the higher
on.
the frames per second, the harder it is to land those frames, right? Or no? Like if you have 200 frames a second, I would imagine there'd be way more room for error than if it was like a 60 FPS.
There's probably room for error, but I mean, a lot of it's your CPU rendering and how it does its trees. But all I know, the one thing I do know is that it's sort of anti what your brain would say, which is that you turn it down to get more. But in real life, you technically want to turn those up. I just think that mixing cloud and local, wow, man. Can you imagine if you had one frame off? Imagine VSync issues. If you say render the sky, and then you try to render the sky and it's like a full frame behind. A frame is so fast to me, and like it's such a fast thing.
It work, like not rendering. I would see it work if it's like streaming things into the
AI
RAM or something, like
AI
streaming things into the RAM pipeline and then like pushing it into the.
Yeah, but I mean that's still a turnaround of like what 20. Dude, I'm going blurry here. It's still a turnaround of like 45 milliseconds, and that's at minimum 2 or 3 frames. That's 3 frames. Like I don't know about you, I do a lot of streaming. I can see a 3 frames drop, not one, but if you get 3 frames hedging and they start to drop, it's noticeable that something goes on. I don't know. I like their ideas because also Microsoft is constantly, this was said a couple days ago on Twitter, where a person who doesn't like Microsoft much was like, the one nice thing about Microsoft is they are always looking for a new idea, which even if they buy the new idea, they're always looking for something new, some new thing, which I think is nice, even though it failed with the Xbox original being a TV device. Remember when that came out?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Xbox One.
I think a lot of people in that era bought Xboxes and piped their PlayStations through the Xbox.
Yeah, through the HDMI in, baby. Yeah. And it added some serious latency, but it was so cool. It was such an awesome idea. I did exactly what you said. I was like, oh my God, I can just daisy chain it. And it added a good amount of processing latency. But yeah, it was the good old days of just adding shit and being like, oh, yeah, it's all going to be TV. Release. Yeah, it was botched. Yeah, it was botched in all ways. Looking at chat. Sorry, guys. Microsoft Flight Sim does really well. It does. Microsoft Flight Sim might be one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Let's see. I would certainly expect the next Switch to have DLSS. Supposedly it does, which I'm really excited for. I think DLSS.
Yeah, the leaks look good, man.
The leaks look sweet. Oof. Yeah, sweet. Yeah. I answered those super chats. Oh, wait. Yep. God damn, I think I answered all the super chats. If I didn't, I apologize. And remind me, and I will try to jump in there. Next up, Capcom. So Capcom did an interview, and they were like, yeah, games are too cheap. I was sitting there reading it going like,
Yeah.
You guys should just not say anything. Just do what
Yeah,
you're
you
gonna do,
shouldn't.
right?
You shouldn't, but it's
Yeah.
kind of true. But you shouldn't. Wait, cheap as in what sense?
I
Like for
think,
the consumer?
yeah, and that it was coming up
Yeah, it's
that like,
yeah.
so I have the old Fred Meyer receipt of a $59 game, and that's 25 years ago. So it's obvious that some games have been expensive for or been that price for a long time. They were basically talking about production and the cost of games going up and all that, and they were like, yeah,
I think
games are too cheap.
yeah, even though I agree because we didn't adjust for inflation. We're getting way bigger games now for the same price and all that stuff at a customer stuff. But the one thing that I think makes up for it for the companies is that the industry's way bigger now and they're getting way more sales.
Yeah.
But no,
that's
dude,
a good point.
Honestly,
that's a good
people
point.
are gonna hate me for saying this, but I would love to see. You know how we have like games at 30, games at 40, games at we have variable pricing. Now it's 70. I would like to see more. I'd like to see like $100 like mega games.
I want to point this out. What you're saying is you would like to see what $100 game looks like. You wouldn't want to see all games to be 100. What you're saying is
not all games. Like for example,
I get what you're saying.
Let's say Baldur's Gate 3 is at 60, for example, and let's say a smaller game like Doom is at 60, right? Or what's a smaller game than Doom? Fucking an 8-hour game.
Greedfall, whatever.
Resident Evil 3, fucking okay. Don't you think there should be some variability? What if like all the mega games, and obviously they'd be reviewed accordingly, like if it's
they would be reviewed
more,
accordingly,
it's gonna be under way more scrutiny, right?
Yep.
But I wouldn't mind that, like just mega games or something, or quadra A games.
Oh god, remember when Microsoft and Ubisoft both tried that shit with the quad with the 4A? I actually get what you're saying, that for a curiosity's sake, I would love to see what 100 game look like. I'm not saying I want to see 100. I would just like to go, that's not for example, as we go up in cost, we get less, which is weird right now. So you buy a premium version, you don't even get the disc. And I'm like, what the
True.
What's going on? So if they returned that and they said, okay, for 120, you get the disc. I don't want a statue, but you get the disc, a statue. I don't want early access either. This is like a $120 game. What do you get? Do you get voice for everybody that you weren't going to get? I would want to see it. I'm not saying I want to see them. I just want to see what that would look like, because I know what a $30 game looks like. We see a lot of them. And I know what a $40 and a $10, $9, $7 game looks like, but I've never seen a $120. I would want to know,
like, not without premium and deluxe and stuff, just literally $120.
Yeah, what would it look like? What would that, and I think
like
you pointed it out, that I think the problem is that they're already overlapped in 60, 8-hour game, 40-hour game,
an
60,
8-hour
60.
game is going to be 60, and a 200-hour game is going to be 60. So it's a very weird discussion, and I don't like the idea of like something is worth it just because of the money per hour. Like, oh, I spent $1 an hour, $60 game, 60-hour game. Like, I don't view it that way, because I find some 30-hour games are 60 worth way more than like 80-hour games are worth the same amount. But it's a very interesting discussion where it's like, should a scope of a game be larger the more money, or should it be based on production value? Like, what is the determining factor for like a more expensive game?
Let me tell you something, as somebody who's set up shop around the world. Production changes also in where you set up the production. So if you're setting up in India, your price point for Puerto Rico is going to be different than it is for Ireland, than it is for the United States. So if you have a $60 game being made in India, Ireland, the United States, and Puerto Rico, places I've worked at, they will all be a different price. And what happens is big companies usually try to subsidize that, or say it's worldwide, what have you. But you'll see a lot of companies stress. And you'll see some people being like, for example, some companies have moved out of San Francisco on the West Coast because it's so expensive to put people there. Some people have embraced remote. How does that affect your manufacturing? How does that affect your development and your time spent? Yeah, there's thousands of things. I don't know what a $120 game would look.
I just don't. It's still a mystery to me how the market landed on the
60,
and now 70. Just like, there's so many different variable budgets and team size and scope, and I don't know, man. It's just still the weirdest thing to me. And we didn't adjust for inflation.
Told that originally the price was based on the pack-in. what a pack-in was costing the console maker. So if they
based
packed
on like putting on a CD.
no, if they packed in Sonic onto the Sega Genesis, they were able to figure out the manufacturing costs and everything and usually double it to make the standalone cost. So if my system sold for $199 and it was $30 to make Sonic and put it into the disc with no box and stuff, I would sell it for $60 to make money back from that, because a lot of them lose money on the consoles. And what I think is, at some point that made sense one time. I think one gen that made sense, and then everybody, including yourself, me, because also with games, dude, the longevity of the fan is incredible. Our age is nuts. I talk to people who are 25 years older than me who played the very first game.
I mean, the average gamer is 37, right?
The average gamer is 37, exactly. And the average gamer has a memory like a 37-year-old elephant, where they're going to be like $60, not going more. And you're like,
But do you think, man, I just thought about that. Do you think it sets a bad precedent for companies or corporations to have everything at 60? Because a company can take a look at like Call of Duty or like a rehashed thing, you know, every year, where they can just pump out these $60 games and be like, oh, they'll sell anyways for 60, and we can put microtransactions on them. But what if there's like a new standard for like $100 game? It's like, oh, if we want to sell our games at $100, they have to be. They
do you
have
know
to
what
be
that,
like open world.
I think it's already been done.
You know? I don't know.
Early access is what people are selling you right now. It is a bad precedent, but right now, $120 gets you early access for a week or two with Starfield, because I think Starfield was $100.
Yeah, they're doing that. I don't like that.
Either do I.
I don't like that.
I hate
I don't
it.
like early access to single player games.
In fact, if I buy a premium and let's say it's $100, see, again, this is where the discussion gets hedgy, because we're pretending there's no $60, or you and I want to see a game there is no $60 version, so we can see what like 100 looks like. Yeah,
like the base level is 100.
Which isn't this. But if I was doing Starfield, I think early access is ass. I hate it. There's almost nothing in gaming I hate worse. In fact, I can control microtransactions. I can control that by not buying into them. But early access is the FOMO bullshit.
I hate it, man.
Sucks, man.
It sucks, man. I like when a new game comes out, dude.
And everybody's playing
gets it at the same time. Everybody's like talking about it. I don't like either. Like sometimes now, like certain people get this private access or early access because you paid more, or streamers only.
It feels gross.
Data mining.
It feels gross, doesn't it? Like. Well, for example, if everybody goes to the same rock concert, that's different than some people getting to, let's say, talk to the band or get the front row. I'm okay with you all showing up at the same time. That to me is the thing, is we're all, the access is not limited. It's all of us are like, boom, we got it. Now, if you want new ships, if you want blah, 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 that's one thing. But the early access shit's gross. It feels gross. It feels more gross to me than free to play.
Microtransactions, 100%.
Yep.
I hate it more than microtransactions. I would rather have a game have microtransactions than have an early access version. I don't know. It just sounds so scummy to me.
It does.
Way more scummy.
And you know why? Because you're also like, it's already ready. If it's ready,
why don't you just sell it?
Yeah, let us play the goddamn thing. Gunter said $5. Yep, customer base is bigger, offsets inflation and dev costs. Thing is, they need to stop putting out crap games. It would be great if they could magically decide not to put out crap games, but that's not the way it works. That's not the way creation works.
Sadly.
Also, checking into it, costs of wages go up as well, because I was talking to somebody who left the industry when I first started, and they were like, it's very difficult to explain this to a consumer, right? But one of the things they were saying, and they work for a pretty consumer company, they were like, no, games are more expensive despite the income, because you have larger teams, more money. Some of your engines, once you build them once with an old system, you were good, but now they're all rented, or there's a fee. Also, like, Steam charges you 70,
way
or
better than
Steam charges you 30% of your 100. Voice actors. So true.
Much better now, and like they're getting actors, and there's. Dude, it's the biggest industry now. It's just
it is. Here's the thing I say though: get rid of them. Get rid of them movie actors, man. I don't need to see Johnny Depp in my fucking CD. If it's 500,000, which it's not, because Depp is rolling deep in the millions, I bet, for his contract. But if you said, Jeremy, you're running Cyberpunk, $500,000 goes into the game, or we get fucking all these, I would every time I'd be like, why don't we pay $100,000 to a couple voice actors and the director for audio? Make sure we nail it. You got $400,000 more. Let's nail that.
And just because somebody is a famous celebrity, man, the acting and voice acting are completely different, dude. Like some voice actors are way better than popular actors. You know what
dude,
I mean?
it's so true. You get a movie actor in there and they stodgy up, they get all stiff, and you listen to him and you're like, dude, this guy ain't working right, you know, which is why I liked Gun. I know you didn't, maybe you did play it, but we've talked about it before. Okay.
I've never played Gun. It's
so
one thing that escaped me.
Yeah, because it was before Red Dead. It was before you really got into big games, I think. Yeah.
No, Gun. No, I was playing.
Were you already playing?
I was playing Halo 2. I was playing a lot of shit on the original. Medal of Honor, Halo.
Medal of Honor.
I never played like Saints Row, GTA, all those I played. I never, not Saints Row. Saints Row wasn't on the original, I don't think. But I never got into like RPGs until Oblivion. Gotcha. Oblivion was like my first big RPG.
Oblivion was so, I mean, I like Morrowind as well, but Oblivion was so good. But yeah, you had like Lance Henriksen, you have Thomas Jane from The Punishers in it, and or Chris Christopherson.
All of them are in Gun?
All of them are in Gun. Gun is loaded, by the way. I think even Guppy Eyes, the goofy looking eyed guy, skinny, older, who's the comedian. People aren't going to know who I'm talking about because he looks a little like a ghoul in real life. I love him, by the way, but he's one of those really unique looking dudes. He was a
is
fireman.
He in Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah. No, he was in Empire on TV, and I think it's Empire. Boardwalk. No, he was on Boardwalk Empire, I think is what it's called. On people Steve Buscemi. Steve Buscemi.
The guy. Steve Buscemi. He was in Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs, yeah.
Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, I believe he was in there. I could be wrong on that, but Gun has all these guys that act pretty well, and then you have Red Dead pretty well, but then you get like some games like Immortals of Avium, where I love Gina Torres, but the moment
I love Gina Torres.
Dude, she's awesome. And you get these guys who show up and they're like, I am the savior. And you're like, dude, who directed this shit? Like, how did they get in here at the cost that I'm sure was not small? So I agree with you. I would love to get rid of, just be like, we're not doing movie actors anymore. I mean, it's not as big as it used to be.
Unless they want to, I guess, but not like pay, like not spend way more resources than you have to, because that is the last priority I have in a game. Like voice actors are amazing.
That's a good way of putting it.
There's a lot of great ones, but seeing a celebrity in a game is the lowest priority. I'd much rather resources be spent on making the game better.
That's a good way of putting it. That like if that's a priority, if it makes sense, it's a priority. Well, okay, let me scratch that. Yeah. If you look at Detroit Become Human, I think it's one of the greatest point-and-click adventure-style games that I've played in a long time, and I love them. But they only had side actors that were the main. They had what's his name, the Highlander.
And they did a great job.
They did a great job. They had a mix of like big popular. And by the way, Until Dawn did a really good job with Hayden Pantier or whatever the fuck her name is, and Dalton Remy was in there.
Dawn.
Yeah, so you can. It's almost better if you mix them, right? If you're like, okay, we're gonna like spot check this and have GTA. Did it have any big actors? Did GTA 5?
Dude, GTA maybe, but GTA and Red Dead, they fucking find these people from.
They do.
God knows where, dude. I know they hired like actual convicts, and dude, dude, Rockstar finds like some of the best voice actors out of nowhere. Like we don't know who these people are. No Trevor Baker or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
We just what's his name? Travis Barker?
No, you mean Troy Baker.
Baker.
It's funny that you got a generic name generically messed up about the generic voice actor. That was pretty awesome. Yeah,
they just find these people and they just kill it, man. Like Dutch's voice actor, Lamar,
dude. Like, all the guys in Red Dead and Bully,
Travis,
and well, pretty much all Rockstar's Rockstar's director of audio must be really good. Like they must, because every game, LA Noire, Cole Phelps, and all those guys. I was like, oh my god, these guys are. Even if you don't like the game, you almost have to go. They're the best at putting movie stars in their games. I think that's fair. Yeah, they're awesome. 25 Ron super chat from Dan. Ron would be
Romansky?
Reneg on
No, wait.
November. Reneg means, by the way, remove. It doesn't mean, it's not the N-word. Regarding the cloud rendering or just in case somebody's like, what? Regarding the cloud rendering or computing on Xbox, what about when servers go down? It would be very bad for game preservation. I don't even know if that's game preservation. I mean, it is a little bit, but what really matters
is
game
access, right?
That's
like
just
you can't access it.
Yeah, or working. I mean, we've seen streaming.
Yeah. Like Hitman, you know, if it's the servers are offline, even though it's a single player game, you're just not playing.
Yeah, you just don't want it, man.
Like
you don't like, unless you buy into it. That's why game streaming is awesome to me, because it's separate, and a person can say, "I'm going to get GeForce Now," and I know all the caveats to GeForce Now. I'm going to get it. It's almost like when you buy a card that's less powerful than mine, or I buy one. I know I'm looking at my card going, it's not as powerful as Abzy. I'm buying it. I know exactly what my output should be generally.
And if you introduce cloud, it's like, are you buying the game or are you just paying a monthly subscription?
Well, I feel that way with Steam right now, because Steam used to, doesn't as much anymore, but if it went offline the first time and you hadn't told it to go to offline mode, it would be like, you can't play the game. I think that's all fixed now, but that was one of my biggest complaints with Steam.
Offline, I think for more than a week or something, you just can't play your game.
So it gives you a cert of like so it gives you like a temp authorization of
like you just gotta log in every once in a while, I think. Or
that's not bad. That's that could be worse.
I mean, we live in a world where, dude, phones, everything, like connectivity to online, except once in Canada where just the whole
everything went down.
I think I had a podcast that day too. Everything just, there was no online.
I do remember. Yeah, I do remember. Everything went down.
I didn't know what to do with my life.
I didn't read.
I couldn't access the online world, not on my phone, not
as
anywhere,
you grab a real book, Absy, and you're like, I can't even read this. It's not working.
Yeah,
it's just marks on a
even
screen.
If I want to read, or even if I want to go to the gym or do something that doesn't, I just need to know it's there and available. I don't know why. It's bad, man. It's bad. It's just
Screwball, $10 or 10 BGN super chat says, thank God for Mark Hamill. I think you're talking about B games and voice actors. I would agree. Mark Hamill's very good at delivering. He's good at like Batman, but then he's also good at delivering cheesy B level shit too. Like Mark Hamill's different. He's one of those guys that I think we could point at and say he's not always good and be okay with it. Mark Hamill's not always
versatile.
Good.
He's volatile.
No, I think you're right with versatile, because volatile would mean more of the attitude kind, like volatile, like you never know.
Volatile as in like highs and lows, right?
Oh, highs and lows. Like variety of,
like a volatile.
What
do you call it? Like a stock that's volatile, right?
That is what you call it. Yeah, no, that is the term. Yeah, where you're not quite sure on the return of it. You throw it up and you're like, let's hope this one.
He did Majima in Yakuza 1, dude, which was kind of like Joker in a way. Yeah.
Mark Hamill did?
Yeah, Mark Hamill was Majima.
And man, I didn't even know.
Chan. Yeah, he did the Joker voice for it.
Wow. Oh yeah, I wasn't even aware of that. All right, that's interesting. I try to buy games now on GOG as much as possible. He was a nice voice actor before Star Wars, I think. Mark Hamill's only good with Joker.
He was a voice actor back then?
I don't know.
In the 80s? I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, it was just the thing he did as he got older.
I mean, there's a lot of theater that happened then, and you could consider, and then a lot of them did the audio versions of Star Wars, but I don't remember. That's actually before my literal birth.
He was the main Joker though, like in cartoons.
Yeah,
in the cartoons and stuff. Right?
He did. I think that's one thing about him, is that I see him and I see Luke, but then I hear Joker, which is weird. And so he's got this, like, he can do both for me, and that's fine. Where a lot of people, if I see them and then I hear them, I like see them as a character, and it becomes this weird overlap. He's good at delivering different stuff, and he's done some other movies, like he did the space. He's done a couple space movies. I mean, not really. Yeah. I would agree with that. I think I love him, but I think if he was Luke, he'd be the beat up version we see in the last 3 movies, where he's like drunk and shit.
Dude,
I know he did. I know he did. Oh, he's done a great job on rolling those comments back, but you could tell he was like, "What are we doing with this movie?"
Him and Harrison Ford, dude. Where oh my god, Harrison Ford.
Have you heard Luke's or Mark Hamill's mimicry of Harrison Ford? It's
no.
beyond spot on. So
shit,
you
okay.
should watch this. Mark Hamill does a recreation of when Harrison Ford found out that he was the father, that Vader was the father. And they're in a movie theater when it happens, and Mark Hamill nails Harrison Ford beyond all belief. I mean, he turns and he's like, "What the fuck?" I mean, I can't even come close to doing it. But I watched this short of Mark Hamill, and I was like, "Is he overdub? Is somebody overdubbing like Harrison Ford's voice? It's that good. You need to check it out. It is
okay.
It is amazing." This is Turnoff says RE $100 games, maybe compartmentalization of games. I just want the game, no premium graphic upgrades, etc. 20 to 100. Premium graphical upgrades, better frame rates, extra man, I don't know. See, I don't want
no, not the same game. I just want like just a complete, I don't know, man.
A new game at 100 to see what it would look like.
Yeah, maybe it's like a rare thing, like it happens once every like 3 years, but we get this mega game where it's like, this is the mega game. It's the $100 game, and it's going to be, and it's. I'm thinking in terms of single player. Fuck, not live service shit. Like,
no,
okay, that
so
stuff has its own thing.
Yeah, we're not talking about any add-on game. Yeah,
one shot, one thing. No, like where they would have added DLC and stuff for extra money. It's all in there, all jam packed, super content, massive. What would that look like, and how would you review it? It'd be under more scrutiny for sure. Right. So
yeah, I have no issue with that. If that happened, I would love it because I don't have a problem looking at cost and going, that does cost more.
And it's risky for the company because
it's risky for the company. Yeah,
that would be risky. Yeah. If it's bad.
And here's the thing with all of these products, other than those resold, they always go down in price. So they either stay or go down, but they don't go up unless it's eBay.
They don't go up.
Yeah, so those guys selling at 100, that's your chance, man. If you don't nail it at 100, and you got to nail it
at release. See,
you got to do a kata out there and make sure you knock everybody out, because if you don't,
make sure there's no bugs, nothing. It's a perfect game on release. You want everyone to buy it in the first month or two. So, yeah, I feel like that'd be a cool challenge. All the devs out there listening to this, go for it.
Go for it. We'll back you. I like the idea of different prices. Even I would love to see 100 just because I'm a curious person. But I love when a game is $10, $20, $30 cheaper, because then I personally believe it's a smart idea, because it does offer a little bit of leeway where somebody can be like, okay, 60, 60, 60 for these 3 games, 50. Wait, what?
I'll make 2.
Yeah, I mean, dude, there's a ton of games that are even Ubisoft has done a couple at a cheaper price. Phoenix Immortals, I believe, was also at a cheaper price. I love the idea. I think different price points is, I mean, every car's got a different price. Like, it is weird that we all stuck. And by the way, even music I buy is at different price points. So it's weird. And movies that I buy, well, I think movie theaters are not. What I mean is, when you go to, well, no, there are different prices for movie theater. So I think games are one of the few that tries to stick to that one. Because movies, when I go to a movie, you can do, well, it's matinee. Yeah,
there's
so
IMAX and
oh, true.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Well, I was saying if there were 3 movies at my theater at 7:00 on Friday, would they be the same price? And the answer is yes, unless what you said, IMAX
or something,
or matinees. But that's like getting a sale on a game. It's no different.
Our movies, because there's no DVDs anymore. Where DVDs and Blu-ray like the same. Like Blu-ray was the same price. Right?
Yeah, no. You mean
like $40?
Were they equal to each other? Oh, new releases? No, they definitely dropped in price. You would get that first pop, and they would have like a director cut, and they would have like director interviews and movie behind the scenes, and they would bang on at like 20 or 30 more, and then, or you'd get like one that was 29, one that was 19, and the 19 was just like the movie, like. Turn it on and it doesn't even have a title. It's just like, here's the movie. And then the other one would have other stuff. But again, I think that's fair. Like, I'm okay with that. King, another $5 super chat. King Baka. Which developer in current existence would you trust to create $100? That is a good question, because here we are guessing that we would create $100.
Maybe for it to happen, you'd want, what if an Exile joined with Obsidian and like maybe Larian and made like the ultimate Fallout game or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
that would
Ultimate,
be
like Wasteland. You know what I mean? I don't know.
That's a good
I trust
point. Like,
Obsidian. I trust Larian. In Exile hasn't let me down. I mean, I've only played Wasteland 3 recently from them. Yeah, I trust those three right
Rockstar
now.
hasn't.
Rockstar?
They've let me down on their shit that
on
they
their
do.
online shit.
Yeah, right.
Single player,
Their single
though,
player games
always.
are ridiculous.
Oh yeah, Rockstar. If it's one developer, Rockstar, 100%.
Imagine,
yeah, 100%.
Imagine
Red Dead 2
Obsidian and
way more
Rockstar are like, we're making like a new whatever, and they joined up. That would be pretty insane.
You gotta, like, I would expect Red Dead 2 to be like this type of mega, because Red Dead 2 had so much scripting, so much detail.
I absolutely agree.
2,000 developers,
12,000 or 1,200 pages of text or something.
I think Red Dead 2 is worth more than 60, dude. Like it did things way more than the other.
People are going to clip just this out and be like, they're demanding $100 games. It's like, that's not at all what it is. I think the interest, or it would be interesting to see what if you got any more.
$600. Yeah.
No, don't.
Yeah, sorry.
Please don't.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That would suck. I don't think there is a developer other than I would never have said CDPR. I think a lot of people would have. I think now they won't. But Rockstar, for like you said, that single play, like here's the title, ignoring all the other stuff. They are I think we would see a return of some kind. I don't know what it would be though, because they already do all the movie stars, and they have these huge games, and they have good voice actors normally.
Yeah, I don't know where they would go.
I don't know where they would go either.
They're already above and beyond. And they're making a lot of money through their online shit. Yeah. Listen, just give me the single player stuff. Make your money in the online fucking cash shit. I don't care. You do you. I'll do me. I still love your games. You know,
they make some serious cash.
Ignorant bliss. You know what I mean?
Fantastic.
Do MTX shit.
Just do it on the side. Fantastical's $5 super chat. Maybe the Monster Energy cans and other ads in Death Stranding were only necessary because Kojima wanted Reedus and Michelson. No actors, please. That's gone, right? Those ads, I believe Monster Energy drink was removed from Death Stranding.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was removed from Death Stranding.
So, what if this person is right? I believe it was. Yeah. What if this person's right? Okay. And that was like, to pay for these guys, we're going to do an ad for 6 months.
Yeah.
In game.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I thought, is like they did that to hire all those actors. Well, in my head, that's what I thought, because like no game does that. Like, what? I don't even remember a game that did like, oh, there's Coca-Cola, everyone's drinking Coca-Cola, or other than Pepsi Man,
dude, yeah, or the 7-Up Cool Spot. The Cool Spot from 7-Up was a game.
Yeah,
or
Burger King. Yeah.
Wait. PlayStation 1 had the Jet Moto, which had Squirt, Mountain Dew. It had all the pops, and it was like a air jet ski racing game, and that had all of them.
Yeah.
Norman Reedus probably didn't cost a lot back then, even though Death Stranding was big. I just don't see him pulling a bunch of money. But the other guy, Mickelson, was from Hannibal and all those other shows. He probably pulled a lot of money. Yeah. I mean, it makes...
Yeah.
What else did they have? Monster Energy drink? What did he say? Just energy can. Was there something else in there?
No, I think it's just Monster. I don't remember any other... I mean, there were Easter eggs of stuff, but I don't remember like another like advertisement that was as blatant as that. Yeah, they had like Half-Life shit, or they had like a lot of different Easter eggs. They had the Conan O'Brien.
Jet Moto was awesome. Someone says in chat, it was. Callisto Protocol, by the way. Somebody's talking about they're giving away Callisto Protocol for free, PS Plus. That guy left.
Yeah,
too crazy.
Oh yeah, dude, that was such a flop. Plus, I feel like that must have been just a slap in the face to see your own game come out as a remake and do way better than your new game. Like, oh my, like right
True.
Then and there,
that
like
sucks.
a couple months after.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, we failed on my new game, but the game I originally created just got a remake and is doing miles better. It's crazy.
Speaking of a game that's not a remake, but's coming out.
Yeah.
Alan Wake. Did you see the previews today?
No. Do I want to? Do I need to? Should I?
Yeah. I keep swallowing my mints, dude.
Because I know I'm going to get it.
Here's the problem I have.
What?
Of all the previews I saw, there were only 2 websites. I listened to a couple of YouTubes. There was that actually were pretty honest. One of them's Eurogamer. And the Eurogamer preview is pretty good because they also talk about a ton of glitches and software issues. And they say, you know, we're only a month away from this coming out. These are a little nerve-wracking. Dude, I watched and read a bunch of other people's. I hate that shit. I hate previews because people just ignore. It's like, hey, if you want me to do a preview, be prepared for me to say, we're a month out. It is early, but you got some problems here. Luckily, the Eurogamer one did. They covered what people were hoping for, what they got, and it seems pretty happy.
Was that on PC?
They were doing the PC version. Okay. Yeah. And it sounds, from what I understand and from what she said, it was a very good write-up. It was a lot too, but it feels like a good how
was Control on
good
release?
Sequel.
Okay.
Control had some FPS issues in particular on the base consoles. PS4 was rough. Man, that was rough.
Did it have like bugs, a lot of bugs or something?
Some, but nothing like Cyberpunk. It wasn't. Yeah. If you consider Cyberpunk right there at it got removed from a store because it was so bad. Yeah, it wasn't there. Yeah. But anyway, Alan Wake, the previews, I have to be really careful with the previews because it just fucking bothers me when I read a preview or watch a preview and they don't mention anything and you can tell they're sneaking around it. Yeah. It's like, even if you say it's good, no bugs, it's good, but they don't. They remove it.
Almost every preview I watch for every game is always like very positive.
Yeah. And luckily the Eurogamer one, they covered it. It looks overall like exactly what you'd want from a sequel. They discussed Saga, the FBI character, and going in and taking on Alan Wake. And I think they alleviated some of my fears of, I want to just be Alan Wake. But they alleviated some of my fears where making it like Saga is as interesting as Control's character, which was, what's her name in Control?
What
the hell is her name?
Right? Is it Elizabeth?
Elizabeth's from BioShock.
Okay. Jane?
Now you're just guessing names. You're like, Bob?
What's her name?
Jennifer. I don't remember.
No.
It was Jennifer.
No. Jane.
Okay, here we go. Chat.
They say the director.
Jesse. It's Jesse. Yeah, or Jess. You were close. You were close. It was like Malcolm. It's like, dude, it's nothing. But anyway, so they were positive about it. They discussed Saga. It's a good, if you guys get a chance, anybody who's listening and you want to read a preview on this, it's so far the only one I've been able to identify and go, all right, they're not purposely ignoring the whole performance thing. They're talking about the good and the bad. There were some, and what bothered me a little bit is I know who they were talking about. They said at the end, and I talked to other people who had these tech issues. None of them reported the issues. That sort of was, I don't know if they were purposely calling other people out, but I sort of chuckled when I read it. Because they were like, and I talked to other people, and they had the exact same issues. And then you read,
even then, they would leave it out of the previews, but then in the reviews they talk about it sometimes. Like there's some stuff where the previews they love, and then the reviews is where they hammer.
It's such an odd situation, but luckily, overall, it appears like it's unimpacted by the decade of time we've waited. Right?
I'm still so excited, though. Yeah,
so am I. So am I,
I'm
dude.
So excited
and I'm more excited now because Saga wasn't interesting to me at first. I was like reading about her going, I don't know if I want another character other than Alan Wake, but it seems like it's all written really well. What were we going to say?
That's good. No, it's just the direction. I love Remedy's direction, man. There's one in the one trailer, and I told you about this. It's the one thing, and they do it in Control, and I love it so much. It's when you enter a new chapter or enter a new location, and big bold letters just come and they go like "Doom," and then they have a lot of cool psychological thriller shit that I really dig that vibe. Redacted and
dude. Do
you think I need to be in Control before I play it?
No, but I gotta tell you, so Alan Wake is old enough, and there's some rose tinted glasses for what we want from 2, but I think it's easier to overcome that than it is Control. Control had a lot of good parts. I really liked a lot of Control, And I could see somebody playing Alan Wake 2 and the control not being as good in Alan Wake 2. And that being an issue. That's what I'm crossing my fingers on, because I don't know if you remember, Alan Wake 1, he controlled a little bit like he had to take a giant dump. Like,
well,
and
not
it
only
had
that, but
calcified in his bowels.
like, yeah, like even though I'm sure they they made it better, but Alan Wake 2, like control is a pretty actiony, like telekinesis, you're flying everywhere and stuff. Alan Wake 2 is like a survival horror, I think, right? That's what
correct.
This game is. So it's gonna be way slower, and but I'm just so excited for that.
Yeah,
But it's gonna be a flashlight, and
I can't wait to see, like, to hear his voice the first time and be like, I was in the woods and blah blah blah. And I'd be like, duh, 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 because it was prior to me reviewing. It was me, all my 3 friends on my sawed up fucking couch in my.
You saw me stream it.
House. I watched you stream it, and there's something. There's a really good set of memories based particularly around that I'm really excited to check out. Screwball BGN $10 super chat. Once upon a time, maybe 2006 to 2007, Microsoft was talking about injecting real ads in games on ad panes on buildings and the side of roads.
Oh yeah.
So was Sony.
I remember that drama.
Sony had a bunch. Sony not only had a bunch, but they just posted like a IP or a patent from a couple years ago where Sony was trying to inform McDonald's, like, this person buys these hamburgers, send them coupons. And you're just like, damn. Yeah, all the companies want that.
They used to do it in sports games a lot. I don't know if they still do, because I don't play sports games anymore. But I remember the reason I watched Blades of Glory. Where was it?
I know Blades of Glory. What's this got
Blades
to do?
of Glory was advertised on the Xbox 360. I think either on the Blades, or it was like I was playing like NFL or NBA or something, and it like showed up on the billboards or something. That's why I watched it.
Holy shit.
Because of the game.
So you think that it popped up and that caused you to click it just because, like, you had some time?
It popped up and I was like, I kept popping up every day, and I kept seeing it on my Blades and stuff. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch it.
That is a weird segue. I don't know why, but Blades of Glory is not what I expect you to say. Yeah, I think the UFC ones did the full screen replays when you were trying to do the replay of the fight, and they would pop up the big ad. That was a big deal. I think sports ones try to get away with a crazy amount because it's already available on normal NFL. So when you watch an NFL game, they have that ticker at the bottom, and it'll be like, flip up, like, buy Progressive Insurance, and I think that game companies see that money going away and they want it, right? They want it. They want some of those ducats. So I hope it doesn't happen with that kind of stuff. But back real quick on Alan Wake, I'm excited to see it. It was good to see those previews. They were overall interested. From what I could tell, everybody was interested in what they saw. Everybody liked what they saw. So
also, dude, like Remedy's writing is by far way better than a lot of other survival horrors.
Yeah.
Like Resident Evil's writing is complete. You can Resident Evil games are awesome, all right? They're fun, but you can't argue the dialogue in VA and Resident Evil is trash.
Good. Yeah,
they're not good. That's like some B-movie shit.
Yeah,
but Control, and Alan Wake, dude, they have good dialogue. Good
Alan
writing.
Wake came close to being too cheesy, but there were times when he's like, I don't know what he would say, but he'd be like, "I'm in the woods and the mist curled around my feet," and you're just like, dude, this is like
the poet,
the Dean Koontz of like video game. It was
even
just something
the
different.
Fat guy, the friend.
Oh, Barney. Barry.
Alan,
I loved him with his big fucking vest. Remember, he had the Back to the Future vest, I believe. Yeah. Oh, it was
the
awesome.
janitor from Control was like one of my favorite sage characters in any game, dude. What a guy.
Control nailed it also because it finally. There's always been questions of games and how they match. So, for example, you'll see a horror movie and then Jason versus Freddy will come out, and it's like, this is for sure mixed. What I liked about Control is they didn't say, oh, it's Alan Wake's world. They actually put parts of it just hinted in, and then later not so hinted. But
TLC.
I loved that, where it was like you started exploring, you're like, oh, it finally Remedy's like creative universe.
It's like, is it connected in some way? And
it's so sexy as a world too, because I'm a big Fringe X-Files fan. So like, what's the Twin Peaks? So when that kind of stuff pops up, I'm a big fan. I also wanted to make sure that we hit this. Sekiro hit 10 million sales, and this was going to be a question for you.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Why is it that no bosses ever have their weak point be their nuts? It dawned on me. I saw Sekiro did 10 million, and all last night this bothered me. I was up late, and I asked my wife, I'm like, have you ever played a video game where the bad guy's flashing point was his ball sack? She was like, no, I don't think so. That bothers me. Why is that possible? Why has it never been that? Have you noticed it? Has there been a game that I'm...
It's interesting you say that, because even in locational, like games that have locational damage where you can hit their feet or their hands to drop the weapon or their head, I don't remember a game where you shoot the balls and they go like this or something.
No, either do I. It's like, and if it's flashing, I got to tell you, if my body was flashing, it'd be like neck, nuts, knees. Like I would know.
Because that is a weak point.
That is a weak... Dude, have you ever even a light tap on the old nut? If you're not prepared, we'll give you a sick
your stomach starts hurting. You're just like on the ground.
Yeah. So I was just wondering about it, because Sekiro had a lot of male characters, a lot of human enemies, as well as some fantasy ones. But it was bothering me because I was like, there's no real... Karak asking the real questions. This is a real question.
If you cut a dick off, that's it. You just maim them. Like a boss, just cut the dick off and then they're
Unless you listen to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, when Jake says he lost his ball or he lost his penis, and the guy goes, technically a man can run for 3 minutes without a penis. the boring boyfriend. Oh, I loved him. But yeah, there's never...
Pilsners.
Pilsners. I'm a Pilsners man. If you don't know, I'm a Pilsners man. What's your favorite boss in a video game? No, what's your favorite... What's your favorite mechanic where you fought a boss? So a flashing point or having to destroy something,
a gimmick or something.
Yeah,
like a
puzzle part, or like for example, you know how sometimes in a game you'll be fighting the enemy, but then you have to like shoot the rail chair or
what was really
rail
fun?
car. Or
you know what was actually really fun? That just came to mind was and Tears of the Kingdom, the boss of the wind the little snake that flies in the it's the after you're done the wind temple.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And you fly on the wind, and then you have to shoot him in the thing. That was really fun. That was really, really fun. That came to mind.
Did it come to mind because it was essential grandeur versus or grander versus
because it was because it came to mind because you were like something like mechanic, like an interesting mechanic for a boss. And
yeah,
I'm sure there's a lot, man. Like there's always those gimmick bosses in Dark Souls, and I really liked the serpent from Elden Ring, because it was like a huge spectacle. Like he's fucking massive, and you take the spear and just hit him with the spear. That's hits him with like a wind thing. That was really, really fun. There's just those two come to mind.
Mine is a game no one ever talks about, but it's called Black Site Area 51. It's the sequel. It's David Duchovny's in it. It's a shooter, and it's a sequel to another supernatural / paramilitary game. But a boss you fight, you're in a helicopter and you're shooting down at this giant tentacled thing, and the sense, like you said, of bigness, of grandeur, where you're like, oh my god, this is bigger than... It's something about it feels like grand when you're playing it. I distinctly remember getting done and replaying the game so I could get back to that point with my friends and just being like, dude, this is
shit. Okay.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Oh no, wait, what am I talking about? Returnal, like fucking every boss in Returnal. Oh my goodness.
You think so?
Holy
really?
Shit, dude. When you're playing co-op with a friend and you get to that, I think it was the third boss, dude, and you're like flying, or like fourth boss, I forgot.
That's
like flying
I know
through
what you're
the
talking
air.
About. Yeah, that's the fourth
and you're
boss.
Like, there's just some wild shit. And there was my favorite boss in that game though was the dude that was sitting and playing the organs. Wasn't that hard of a boss, but he was just sitting there.
Jesus, I don't even remember that.
You're
boss.
Facing his back, and he's just playing the organs, and fucking like bullet hell is just flying at dude. Returnal had insane set pieces. Holy shit.
Funny you mentioned the music and the organ, because in not Banished, what's the game that just came out? Oh man, I reviewed it. Smaller title. It starts with a B. It came out right around
Remnant.
Somerville did. No, the Something King. The
Bramble King.
Bramble
I still
King.
need to play that.
Bro, there's this, and I was talking to Takedown in it. There's this battle. I don't want to ruin it, but it's like music, like the same way you said, where like there's a music instrument involved. And I remember just going like, nobody's going to talk about this game. It's one of those games that I knew.
No, I can't wait, dude. I
was going to go away. And yeah, it is. That game.
It's like 4 hours or something, right?
Yeah, it's not very long, but it is. Oh, it's like that. It's that you're more emotional than I am when it comes to games.
Yeah.
So I know you'll get this, but for
I know
me,
I'll cry
even
with this game. Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. There are some, there's some, and it does a pretty good job not being like, I'm gonna pull on your heartstring. It's more along the lines of this is a situation and what may be happening. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
So Returnal, that I'm trying to think of a game where I really did love man-to-man fighting,
one-on-one,
and I think Neo 2 is probably Neo 2. A lot of times when I fought people in Neo 2, there was a couple, but they're almost always magical in Neo 2 or Neo. You know what I mean? They're almost always like, they're not just good. They're somebody said Phantom Pain or no, they said Phantom Mantis something. Psycho Mantis.
Psycho Mantis.
That's from Metal Gear, right?
With the save data thing where like acts like it corrupts your save.
Yeah, where it acts like it's corrupt your save game. That shit's awesome, man. Love that.
Really, and then you have to switch your memory card or something. Or there's like the old man where you just wait for 2 weeks and then he dies of old age.
I didn't know that.
And Metal Gear Solid 3.
Screwball, BGN, $10 super chat. I absolutely remember a YouTube clip of some Japanese game similar to Yakuza where you can altogether skip a combat with a boss by punching him in the nuts, but no idea what it was. Are you sure it wasn't are you sure it wasn't the
Shenmue,
Sega Saturn game Shenmue? Yeah. I mean, I don't think Shenmue had that kind of thing, but
yeah. Or it sounds either that or the what's the Absolver Devs game, the really good one.
Sifu?
Sifu.
Sifu? Where you just like boop, and you pop. I don't know if that happens, but that'd be awesome.
Okay.
King back at $5 super chat. The Metal Gear series has some of the best boss encounters and gimmicks. For example, the end, the old sniper guy. That's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Somebody said I had a bad memory because I couldn't remember one of the 1 million games I play. I hate that shit. It is true though. I could not remember the Bramble King at all. I love the name.
I'd be surprised if you remember any game this year.
This year, like this year's going to be rough. Awesome, but rough. See, this is I was just talking to somebody about this. I was like, "There's no better problem to have. There's no better." For example, Banisher's delayed until February, and to me,
kind of a little bit relieved, a little bit relieved,
a little sad because I want to play it, but then
I want to play it.
There's so many games that it's like I'm gonna forget.
Dude, February next year is fucked.
It's a little. So I said that to you in our chat, but here's the games I have, just so you know. I copied these because I was looking at just this thing, and I don't think it's as bad. Final Fantasy, right, is the very last day of February. But the only other big games are Persona, and it's not even a real Persona. Sorry for people who like Persona. It's it's like a whatever version of Persona. It's one of the side ones. Then you got Nightingale, maybe February 22nd, Banishers, and then the only one I could see is Suicide Squad. So,
I assumed Stalker would be. Wait, no, there's a crazy February release. There's a crazy
Stalker's not on this. Or sorry, Stalker is not on this list for February. So if Stalker's also February, then February gets a little bit more packed. But
there's something.
Oh, Helldivers. Helldivers 2 is also in February.
Helldivers 2. There's something huge. Oh, fucking Final Fantasy 7.
That's what I said. It's at the end of the month.
Yeah, that alone is like
right, but it's the 29th. Right? It's the very last day. So it's like
it's the last day.
Yeah, so I think February is easy to. Just looking at this, I don't think it's that bad.
I mean, I think
it's that bad.
We just got used to like being ass blasted in 2023. That this just.
I don't know if I've ever technically been used to being ass blasted, but I'll go with whatever you're saying, right?
Like there's just so many games, and like we got accustomed to 20 fucking like big ass open world RPGs, Final Fantasies coming out in a month.
Agreed. And the cool thing is I was talking to Dopey Joe. He was doing Starfield. I was talking to Idiot, and he was doing, I think he's doing Starfield as well. So you have all these guys doing all these different games, and what's funny is almost all of them are putting off at minimum 2 other games. So December. End of December doesn't have a ton of stuff. It's got some, but it doesn't have a ton. And I think that's exciting because there's going to be a bunch of people who are looking down the barrel of a Christmas without a big title, but having their own titles that maybe got patched, maybe by now, maybe even got, a mini DLC or something. So there's something exciting to be said for the idea of going into December with nothing huge and still having.
Yeah.
I think I have 7 games
Yes,
that
I am
that I need to
excited.
play.
I've been waiting for like some breathing room.
Yeah.
Because there are games like Bramble King is one of them. I want to play Remnant 2. I need to go back to some games. Like I'm waiting for a patch for Baldur's Gate 3 to finish it because I refuse because Act 3, right? There's like a lot of things where I can't wait until I have this like free time. Because I just can't play more than one game right now. Wait, what?
Somebody reminded me that I called Keanu Reeves Johnny Depp earlier.
Yeah, I thought
don't
you
know
were
why.
literally just talking
I know.
I thought you were just talking about Johnny Depp.
And how I knew I did it, I didn't want to, is I saw your look. You just didn't smile or frown. You were wondering where I was going with the comment. So then I just kept talking, but I could see you go.
No, I was being interested in the idea of Johnny Depp being in a game.
No, it was Johnny Depp. But I love the idea of Johnny Depp replacing and being Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk. See, that's the other thing. In the future, dude, AI is going to allow us to say, I want like Mary Lou Renner or something like that as this character. Just replace characters with people you don't even expect in movies and games. It's going to be so great. Oh man, that's funny.
You literally just meant Johnny Depp.
No, I didn't.
It all still made sense. Like.
It made sense because that's sort of the way the discussions go.
He wasn't in Kingdom Hearts, right?
No, that popped up a couple days ago where we were trying to figure out if he was somebody voice acted, pretended to be him, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought he was in it too. Yeah, I was wondering if he was in it.
Gotcha.
Oh man, that's good. I love kayak imagination. I think he means Karak, but we'll go with kayak. We've already said Johnny Depp instead of, what else do we got before we wrap this up? We finished up No Bosses, Flash and Balls. Everything? We finished Alan Wake. We did Sekiro, Capcom, talking about them cheap games, Cyberpunk DLC.
Oh, there's one little bit of news that no one's going to care about, but I I find it phenomenal. Super Mario speedruns, Super Mario 64.
I saw your
hit
post.
A huge new stride right now. There's this thing called carpetless. Basically, there's a level where you have to ride a carpet for like a minute, and there was no skip for it. The only skip was made by Taz, an automated thing that uses safe states and stuff, which was discovered back in like 2009, right? And after that, it was just humanly impossible. And so it's been over a decade. And it's been the biggest meme where it's like, just do carpetless, It's like a meme that nobody can ever do carpetless. Nobody can do that skipping that whole carpet thing, which saves you like 50 seconds, right? Until a couple of days ago.
And somebody got it?
They found, like, consistently. They made strides in 3 days where now people can hit it consistently. Where it's like, it's crazy. This is why like Super Mario 64 I think is like the best platformer ever made, because it's just the things you can do with just the mechanics they give you in the game, where it's like the movement and the momentum. Just people are still discovering new mechanics right now. So I thought that was insane, because
I don't even know if this
like
is
the biggest meme.
Like real, as in I don't know if the developers look for this, but you do get those games that when a developer hits it right, you can continue to learn and play it and get a little better or do something new and cooler.
Something, right? Like they give you tools and then you do stuff that the developers don't expect. I think that's like the coolest shit. Like TOTK in some ways, like
Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom, where they give you tools and then you just
but okay, so that's sort of what I meant. Tears of the Kingdom feels like they manufactured it on purpose. They're like like Starfield.
Yes, true.
Right?
True.
Here's a ship builder, but what I mean is Mario 64 feels like here's a platformer, which by the way is awesome, and there's all this flexibility to do different stuff, but 26 years later, somebody's come up with some other thing that happens or whatever, and you're just like, is this humanly possible to have created this on purpose, or is it just a combination of factors?
Right?
Yeah, I would say definitely not.
That'd be crazy if they knew that. That would be insane.
I think it would be cool to plumb the brains of the developers and find out what did cause that. Because we see it in a lot of games where like people return to them 10, 15 years later. And I know you're more in the speed community than I am, but you get those where I'm always like, man, something must be in there that's not planned, because the planned stuff has a almost finite level of return if it's planned. Like it's planned, so you can only do this. But when it's not planned, when it's flexible, you got that like awesome UFC fighter that can throw a couple moves, but they can throw them at any time, and you're just like, what the like? No one was expecting that. That's what I like about Mario. Mario feels, and I don't even love the game at all. I'm not even a huge Mario 64 fan.
But like,
but I have a lot of respect for it.
Even like an Odyssey, like they give you, like it's not just jump, right? It's like factors in your momentum, and then you got like,
there's
you jump
something
at this
there.
Speed, you can do that. You know what I mean? I kind of.
And you'll get people who even do the legit game who found like some tweak to like skip a spot or do something, you know, like skip a bad guy entirely or whatever. And you're just like, did the devs, is that a combination of...
Would it be called like freedom in mechanics? Like the mechanics give you freedom to utilize them in a lot of, like, look at Rocket League, right? Like the people
Rocket League is a good point. Rocket League is a title that one of you guys brought up in the voice, or maybe it was last podcast, but you guys were talking about that the return on skill ceiling is almost unlimited. You know,
it's like they give you a set of tools or like mechanics, and then with those mechanics you could just do
branch out and do all this crazy shit.
Genius game design, I think. It's just
it is, and that's what I was saying is I don't know if that game design is actually designed, or if it's a combination of factors, or it's a person, occasional person who understands, or if it's quite literally just like something they do that maybe would not show up anywhere else, but when they put it into Mario 64, you realize, oh, this double jump mixed with this, and the way the game handles space and the geometry they've used for his size perfectly results in this magic thing.
I don't know how people discover those glitches either. Like,
I've never known. How do they discover ABB XYZ codes?
I don't know, man. They like pause at a specific frame to like move the thing and change angles, and then you gotta jump on the fourth frame of the. I kid you not. There's a spreadsheet for that trick I told you, where it's like, if you jump at the first frame, this is what you do after. If you jump at the second frame from the wall, these are the steps to take after. If you jump at the third frame, this is how you should angle. I swear to God, there's a whole spreadsheet that shows you exactly frame by frame what to do.
That's pretty nuts.
I don't know how you discovered this shit, man. I don't know. I don't know what people like.
You also
they must
wonder,
know the game, like,
well, and what are they like in, you know, I'm not saying real life, but like, are they?
What are those people? Do they go outside?
Do they go outside? How do they talk about stuff? Because you look at this kind of thing and you're like, so for example, I do a lot of fighting games, and counting frames is not super. Counting frames isn't necessarily like somehow counting the frame. You're looking at the animations, and your brain can figure out which frame it is depending on where the animation is, and there's some good guesstimation. But at the same time, I'm like, how the fuck can somebody do that? Especially as me, I've played millions of games, and I'll have a friend come over, and maybe they've read it or maybe they know it, but they'll show you something in a Mario or even a fighter game where you're like, what? You know, and you'll read, well, if you frame cancel off the third bounce, then you can jump off this, and if there's a pixel that's green, you can touch your heel, and you're like,
because you play a million. It's because you play a million
Probably.
games. They played the same game for
a million times, right?
20 years. Yeah, exactly.
The same. It's cool though, because I'm a competency porn lover. I love, and I've realized that lately that I love shows where somebody's competent. I love movies where it's my porn. I love it. And so the idea that somebody knows one thing, boxing, games, a game, there's something really sexy about that. And I don't mean sexy in the attractive way. I mean, like my brain lights on fire when I see somebody who's really good at something and they're like free for a minute. That's the shit, man. Like when Bob Ross would grab a paint and be like, we're going to make some mistakes today. And you'd be like, the fuck? And his painting looks 60 billion times better than I could
and it
do.
Makes it look so easy.
Dude, it's effort. Bob Ross would effortlessly put his entire soul into a single painting in 1 hour. And I would be like sweating, fucking greasy if I tried that. And he's just like, we're going to make some happy mistakes. I love that, man. There's musicians who can riff really well, like on guitar, where you listen to them. And it's not just... I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of like improvisation in like jazz. It's a little chaotic sounding. But when I hear somebody who's good on the guitar, like Slash or Phil Collen from Def Leppard, that guy will he'll do a guitar solo for 45 minutes where it like gets your back of your neck going like, and you just be like, what the fuck?
Some Rolling Stones shit.
So yeah, and your brain's just like, how in the fuck did those guys get that shit? Like, it's awesome. We're going to wrap this up. Screwball, $10 super chat, freaking QAs, counting pixels. Some of it is QAs. Just so you know, I worked QA. Some of us don't know that stuff until after the game. A QA lead might know it. That was the old days. Now these days, I'm assuming everything is known. I don't know. Some of this stuff that I'm talking about, I don't know if they know it. I think it's just, freedom. Good developers, man. When a good developer knows their shit. Going to answer these real quick, and I mean real quick, so we can get this out. First of all, Old Boy says, a lot of projects are delayed to February. Any idea why that particular month is the month? And that would be fiscally.
Yeah, some market research.
Yeah, market research. It's right in the middle. Jan, February, and March, with March being right in the middle. It makes perfect sense for them. Jesus Crust, for the Xbox Bethesda leak, what game from the list are you most excited for?
What was on the leak?
The Fallout, IP from Disney, maybe. They stated there was an IP.
I'm the most curious about Indiana Jones and what that's going to be like.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Because Fallout probably is going to be Fallout, but Indiana Jones could be really good. It could be like
what type of game is it going to be?
Yeah. Oh yeah, SP3CU says, "What's the most useless piece of hardware you've ever bought?" He said, "Physics card for him."
Oh God,
man, I know them bones. I've had that. What's the most useless?
Man, I've bought a lot of useless shit. I guess the Steam controller, because I bought it once and I was like, okay, I'm never gonna play this way, like, ever.
Okay.
So I just
So Steam controller, mine is the Steam Link, the old streaming Link thing that you got
on the TV. Okay,
yeah, I like $15. It was on sale, still didn't use it. So there we go. Last couple questions. What video game has come out or is coming out that you want to see a Psychonauts Odyssey style documentary video series for? First, I got to point out, if you haven't seen the Psychonauts 2 documentary on YouTube,
it's a good one.
It's beyond belief. It's amazing.
That game's a 10 out of 10. I think that's the only game I'll say, or one of the only games where I'm like, yo, that's a 10 out of 10 game objectively.
But
anyways,
it's probably the best platformer I've ever played. And I mean that. And I played a lot of platformers. That might be, I know this is going so far, but I think I liked it more than Mario 64. Even though Mario 64's got all this freedom we talked about.
Yeah.
Psychonauts 2.
Personally, I suck at 64. I'm just saying, personally, I am not that. Like, 64 is like I could see it, but I could never play it.
Right.
But
I get what you mean.
But best platformer for me? Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah. Well, that question, though, I know
what's a big documentary you'd like? Like, what's something you would love to see the behind the scenes for?
I would like a smaller dev team, like a more kind of compact kind of environment, like people doing a startup, doing their first game or something.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah, following the first game.
Maybe Shadows of Doubt, which is like an immersive sim kind of simulation game, and I kind of just want to see what their inspirations are and how they're doing their stuff. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. What about you?
For a documentary, the honest truth is, it's gonna sound weird. I'd love to see Skull and Crossbones or whatever, the Ubisoft one.
Yeah, okay.
If these guys had to tell the truth, right? If they had to tell the truth, let's sit on that. Horrors. I don't want to see some bitch, where they're just talking about how cool they are. I want to see the horror or what happened. What's it like working on the front lines of that game versus what we think it's like? Because it's not always the same. Wannabe dev. Are there any mechanics you know of in a game that are hidden from the player to get across a certain feeling? E.g., in BioShock, if you would have taken your last point of damage, you instead were invulnerable for about 1 or 2 seconds, so you get more barely survived moments.
What are hidden, like, tech in games?
So they never described that specific thing in BioShock until later, when you found out that it would purposely make you invulnerable. Ken Levine talked about it, to make you have more, oh my God, I made it through moments. Is there any hidden? I don't know of a lot of hidden. Like,
I mean, the AI is worse than you think on purpose, so that it doesn't completely demolish.
In games,
Todd Howard talked about that.
Yeah.
I
don't know of any ones that like they're hidden from the player to get across a certain fit. Yeah, AI. No, you're right. Actually, that fits perfect because he's not saying good. He just says that are hidden from the player to get across a certain feeling. AI makes you feel smart because it is dumb.
because they're dumb. Yeah.
Yeah.
If AI was smart, they'd ruin us.
They
man.
would.
Games wouldn't be fun.
Dude, they would kick the shit out of you if it was barely even acceptable. It would destroy
they can react
the best.
like this.
Yeah, it would be, and it knows everything about what's going on in the game world. The only one I know that isn't that way is Alien Isolation, where it lies to itself. So good question, Wannabe. And last one,
I think when people say they want good AI, they just mean that they want the AI to be good in the game. Like, what would the human do, or what would the alien do, or what would like
or react to their actions. That's the main thing.
Yeah, like a person would, not like an AI would, because
or just like when you shoot an enemy and they stand in the corner, or when you shoot an enemy and they run towards you all the time. You want some. There's also some I like it to be variable, where sometimes it doesn't do. That's why I love messing with Arma, because you can you can set a variable and say 50% chance of
games.
This.
That's what I want difficulty in games to be aggression and like enemy count or something. Rather than
and not be static. I can't talk about it, but I'm covering a game right now that has static, easy, medium, and hard. And I gotta admit, one of the things that occurs really dings the game. And it could have been awesome to just turn on all the time. Where I was playing it going, oh my God, why is this not on every difficulty? Like, this is phenomenal.
Why not just choose that one difficulty then?
No, it's one thing that happens in one difficulty, but the other things in that difficulty aren't as fun.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So it's almost like going to dinner. You got to eat the like appetizer, and you're like, I don't really want this, but the hamburger's next, and it's just
it's Mirage.
It is not Mirage. Quit guessing. Last one. Costco Freak. Costco Freak. I get it. Are you guys using any particular sound EQ settings or audio software for immersive games and play?
I did. I don't anymore. I mean, I use Dolby Atmos a little bit, spatial sound stuff. I EQ'd, I think, I forgot which game I EQ'd, but I did EQ one game because it was the high end was too pointy. It was too pointy.
Like harsh, you mean? Almost like
40K, 30K, like there was like a
a little bump on it kind of thing.
Yeah, so I just kind of, if you want to EQ like a whole dynamic, like basically a track or like a whole game instead of one sound, it has to be like tiny. Like you can't just fucking like just take off the low end or something, or just do anything drastic.
I think that for regardless of games or even music, it's almost always better to just take a little off. Because if you do, you can get accustomed to the removal of everything. And then when you finally do hear it, better or whatever, you'll be like, what the hell? And you realize you cut off everything. I don't mess around with anything other than I have one set of headphones that's a little, I don't know what you would call it, energetic in the top end. It's like a little, and I'm like, man, when you get like some techno in there and it's like, boop, 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 and it starts playing really loud, it can hurt ears a little bit. But for everything else, I do not, because I want it to be pretty normal to what everybody else has. Like, regardless, I want it to sound like pretty much what we all have to experience. I don't really mess around.
Right?
I don't really mess around too much. I'll play differently. And these headphones are a little warmer, so sometimes I'll clean them up, because I don't know about you, but like when I listen to some music, I want it not to be, but I do like a little excitement at the top end for like techno songs. Like when things are like, when they're wide, I don't like them to be all cut down. And these headphones have a tendency to, they're a little bit like a hug of a grandpa versus a hot chick. Both are great, but you're like, okay, give me a little space, and I want a little bit more space in these. And then I have some others like you do, where if you have a couple headsets, you listen to some music and you throw a different headset on, you can be quite astonished how different a headset can sound.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
So that's
it.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no,
it's
shit,
fine.
man.
I got time. I was just gonna say,
fuck, it's the worst thing in the world where you have like really, really good speakers, or like KRKs or something, or really good headsets, and you master a song or mix it like perfectly, and they sound so beautiful, amazing to your ears, and you go play it on normal like speakers or something, or you're showing friends, or you play it in a party, and it's just so bad because you mastered it on really good speakers. So
and the thing about that is too, this is, so I deal with the opposite. I will many times I try to just do the monitors, but sometimes I'll leave my headphones on and I'll master it to sound a little worse, because people will get a G phone or, you know, a fucking Android phone and they'll be playing on one speaker. And you're sort of trying to make sure they can hear everything. So you don't want it stereo wide. You don't want all that kind of stuff. And it's just really weird because music is different than videos, obviously. And when you're making something, you get so accustomed to your sound that, you give it, even my wife, whose PC is, I can touch it. And she has different sound. She'll turn it on and even the room sounds different because she's facing a different way. So the bed is in my left corner, her right corner, and that will cause an issue. Like for me, at least, when I turn it on, I'll be like,
sound is such a bitch. Like both,
it's a bitch.
Both in software.
It's
and
the
hardware.
ray tracing of audio, and it really is. That is quite literally what sound is. But it's difficult
because like it's just analog to digital and back to analog is just. It's the one thing messy. I feel like we're just so behind in.
No, we are. That's why AI, dude. That's why I'm so excited, because there was stuff I didn't like about Valhalla, but Valhalla has bad audio. And the idea that Valhalla, for example, a normal person like you or I could, if we wanted, rip Valhalla, its audio out, fix it with Chat GPT or whatever the AI is, and maybe make it warmer and a little less bitty. Because I don't know about you, I can hear compression. You can. Have you ever heard that shit?
Clearly hear it.
Oh, dude, it's like, and you're like, dude, why? And my wife, and by the way, I'll turn her head. Sometimes she'll be like, I can hear something. You turn the treble down a little bit. She can't hear it anymore. Right. She'll be like, oh, it's gone. But me, I can even hear it up there hiding, just going like, sounds like somebody whistling through their teeth. Like, oh, it's so bad. That's the worst, man. Bad compression on a game.
Very bad.
It was very bad on Valhalla.
I'd rather have like way bigger game sizes than.
Oh, dude, that's the problem. People are going to bitch forever about game sizes, and I'm always the guy on Twitter going,
I'm always
make
down
them
for
bigger.
Make them bigger, dude. 200 gigabyte games, give it to me.
I want FLAC audio that's like 17 channel, 2 subwoofers. And can you imagine?
Each sentence in the game would be like 5 gigabytes, dude.
Great. Has there been a game? There's never been a game with FLAC audio. I mean, like truly, like
I doubt it.
I mean, I haven't seen. It's always I've seen WMV or WAV. Sorry. So that's technically I'm trying to think of if there's ever been a game where
like I've never seen like a FLAC file in a.
I don't think I have either, but it probably makes sense to not do that. It's probably there's probably a container issue and also CPU.
And loading it into the game.
Did you hear Starfield's got that issue right now? I said we're going to wrap it up. Sorry. Whatever.
Loading inventory, right? When you
not
change
only that,
weapons?
loading audio. I guess because it's got some big audio samples, people have been, if they have a slower SSD, it can like not play some sounds because it's not getting into like the buffer and everything,
like the pipeline or whatever.
Before it's over. Yeah.
But I do know that if you have a lot of mods on a weapon, it could stutter when you switch back and forth between that weapon. But there's a mod for that, and the latest update they corrected some of that. But there is a mod for that weapon swapping, and it works.
You mean? Oh, dude, I know what you're talking about now. You're talking about you have mods for sounds. You load a new weapon and it hitches. Yep. I just realized what you're talking. I definitely have heard that before. I don't think I heard it on mine because I use I have a pretty fast.
It was rough. It was stopping me from playing a little bit, but I found the mod pretty quickly because I just Googled it and I found a mod instantly and it fixed it for me. So
are you using SSD or NVMe?
NVMe.
Yeah.
But through the adapter.
Through the USB?
No, through a PCIe adapter.
Oh, that's more than fast. Yeah, more than fast. I did get a new NVMe for the PC. It's so nice. 4 terabyte SSD, and you're just like, or not SSD, but NVMe. And it's so nice to have Windows on a big system, because even with 1 terabyte, I would have like the swap file and a couple other things. I'd be looking at the C drive going, it's getting bigger. I don't know about you. I've had times where the C drive was quite literally bumping up against like the max size of the drive. And
like
you're just, I definitely ran, not currently, but I mean years ago, definitely ran.
I need to format my PC at some point. I need to give it a good old.
Do you make sure to run the trim and all that kind of stuff on the SSDs? Because that made a huge difference on one of my SSDs was not running trim automatically, and I was trying to load a Premiere file, and it was stuttering all this shit, and I was resetting my PC, and I went and looked, and it was like 112 days since this single SSD has been trimmed. I hit it, and I'm telling you, instantly fixed. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And that's right in Windows. Yeah. So anyway, that'd be it for us. Okay. Sorry, we went longer than we expected. We're going to try to sort of tighten these up.
True.
Yeah.
Didn't we say 2 hours?
Wait,
how long did we go for?
We did say it's 3. Yeah, it's 3 hours, 10 minutes. Okay. Anyway, thank you everybody for the super chats. Thanks to Abzy for showing up. We'll still be here Friday.
Yeah, of course.
We'll still probably talk for 3 hours Friday. But and by the way, Silver did DM me. I forgot to tell him that we were going to try to do a small, so he'll be here next Wednesday as well. That'll be it for us. I appreciate all you guys. Yeah, that's it. That's all we got. That's it.
Awesome.
That's all we got. I don't have anything else to say. Should we have uncomfortable silence? Did you ever watch night talk shows? Craig,
like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, Craig.
Or no. Conan O'Brien's just my favorite.
Conan O'Brien's your favorite?
He's just my favorite.
Craig Ferguson used to do uncomfortable silence where they would get people just stare at each other for for 1 minute, and it was uncomfortable. Even though they both knew, I was like, "This is uncomfortable."
You know what? I like that British guy that brings like a bunch of actors.
Dude, you're talking about
he's kind of bald.
And he's like, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, dude, I love that guy. He's a Graham Norton.
Graham Norton.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I love it that American actors it's so weird because normally the British are stodgy and we're like the goofy ones. All the American actors are so accustomed to ours, where even though Nathan, does some goofy shit, for the most part, it's sort of stodgy. And they all come and say the same thing. They're like, dude, this is a blast. This is so out of control. Like, I like it to see it because it's like normal people having a good time. Until you watch, did you see the one where Jack Nicholson was bombed? He was.
What?
Oh, dude. Check a couple of one with the older Hollywood actors. And one's Jack Nicholson, and he's roasted, man.
Mad.
Oh, and Mark Wahlberg, dude, is drunk with Graham Norton. You need to watch that. It is nuts. Anyway, that'll be it for us. Hope you guys all have a good week. Peace out and enjoy the rest of it. See you Friday.